Perform best when interest rates move lower while inflation stays above target. You don't need perfect timing. You need to be in position before the move finishes. Call 800-900-8000 now. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000 now. That's 800-900-8000.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The lives of 3 kids changed forever by their actions. I'm Chris Davis. Police say those 3 juveniles were in a stolen car last night about 5:15 on 24th Street when police began chasing them, but then stopped when the car chase became too fast and too dangerous. But the juveniles kept going, finally hitting a guardrail on Highway 178, which threw them all out of the car. The Highway Patrol says one of them died, while the other 2 ended up in the hospital severely hurt. Police have yet to publicly release any names, and they do not know yet if the 3 might have been impaired. Police may also be looking for signs of impairment on a 21-year-old woman who died just before 5 this morning when she was run over while laying in the road south of Arvin, says the Highway Patrol. That happened on North Rancho Drive. A car that was driven by a 23-year-old man ran over her. The man then stopped and cooperated with the Highway Patrol. They say he had not been drinking, but they may be testing the victim who died at the scene. Her name is...
As they say, kids today.
This is what happens when you don't show up for sentencing. You lose
what
what little freedom you've got left. Floyd Lester pleaded no contest last year in a hit and run that happened back on March 29th, 2024 on Buck Owens Boulevard, where 41-year-old Antonio Enrique Arjona was hit and killed. Lester was supposed to be sentenced earlier this month, but did not show. Now he's been rearrested, and those few days that he had left as a free man were taken away. His bond was revoked, and he will now face sentencing February 3rd. You should be aware that Weibel Road between Brundage Lane and Bell Terrace will be closed on and off today, and then again Thursday and Friday for some work on that new connector bridge that will go over Weibel from Highway 58 to Highway 99. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bada bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Monday, first month of the year, the 26th day of the new year. We got a busy broadcast. Chris Burdick is producing the show as we talk with Dr. Jeet Singh at the bottom of the hour. Unfortunately, but perhaps fortunately for you, we'll talk about my favorite topic, Ralph Bailey. My PSA number has jumped again. We'll get Dr. Singh's thoughts on that. Kathy Abernathy will be here. It's Monday, 4 o'clock. We'll talk about our gubernatorial poll and Gavin Newsom in great detail. And Howard Marcus makes an uncharacteristic appearance on a Monday. He's a former federal agent. We'll get his thoughts on the weekend in Minneapolis. And our favorite couple is Prego. Again, who is our favorite couple, Chris Burdick?
I'm trying to think in my head here. I thought that was Taylor and Travis, but clearly that's not true.
Never going to get married. Not happening. Got till June before that splits up. Never. You don't remember who our favorite couple is? Almost destined to be together for the rest of their life. And I'll give you a hint, totally based on their species. Life mates, totally based on their species. If you
Penguins?
can't get
No, the birds?
Continue.
Bald eagles or whatever?
Continue.
I
Talk to me.
The names are...
Jackie and Shadow are pregnant again. There's a little eaglet in the nest up in Big Bear. For years, we've been following this ever since the Big Bear Association. I have no idea what it's called. I could look at the LA Times article, but I'm not going to do that. I'll do it later. When we talk to Meg Maitland, who is the director of the California Living Museum, and I'll give her my thoughts on all that I know about eagles. As some of you may remember, I spent a great night watching a 2-hour documentary on eagles, and now I feel like I know more about eagles than most. I think that's a fair statement, but we'll talk about that because there could be more eaglets on the way, according to what I have learned about eagles, that they don't hatch or what's the phrase I'm looking for? Breed or produce the eggs. What do you call it when you're producing eggs? You don't lay all your eggs at one time. Apparently, eagles don't. So there could be more to come. There's only one in the shots that I saw this morning. And of course, Super Bowl 60 is set. Lost every nickel I had. Chet could not get off the bet. So we put our $250 a piece that we won on Miami and Indiana. And we took New England early in the week at 4.5, thinking it was going to jump to 6. We got on the bottom floor. It never budged, and they didn't cover. Penniless. In fact, we owe the book the Jews. I'll never learn. I'll never, ever learn. It's fun. I like to gamble. Get off me.
When did you try to get out of the bet, though? Try
Friday? Whatever night that was, I was arguing with you. Was that Friday night?
That'd have been Friday, yeah.
Whatever, that's the night I called him. And he called me the very next day. So, yeah, I guess he called me Saturday morning and said, we can't get off it. And I said, well, that's a good sign. We're going to win this thing. And he missed that damn field goal. If the New England makes that field goal, I win by 6. Sons of bitches. But hey, let me play something real quick. I got a lot to do. But go back to the Bills audio I sent you a couple of days ago. I want to play this real quick. You know, I've been following, all I had to do this weekend was to follow the Australian Open. And one of the stories of the Australian Open is the number of Americans, particularly on the female side, because Taylor Fritz got beat. Francis Tiafoe is not going to make it. A lot of the American men just, we haven't had an American man stand up in tennis since, what do you think, Burdick? Who's the last great American tennis player? Do we have to go all the way back to Agassi?
Oh, because Murray was an American, right?
No, he's from London, England.
I know, yeah.
I think you got to go all the way back to Agassi. But on the women's side, we got a bunch of competitive women, including Coco Gauff, who was in a much closer match than it appears. You've got that Bills audio?
We're talking about the Bills, aren't talking about the firing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Play that for me. This is Bills owner and just how stupid he is and how they fired Sean McDermott.
My decision to bring in a new coach was based on the results of our game in Denver. I want to take you in the locker room after that game. I looked around. First thing I noticed was our quarterback with his head down, crying. I looked at all the other players. I looked at their faces and our coaches. I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. First thing I said to him, I said, that was a catch. We all know what I'm talking about.
It wasn't a
catch. He didn't acknowledge me. He just sat there sobbing. He was listless. He had given everything he had. And looking around, so did all the other players on the team. I saw the pain in Josh's face at his presser, and I felt his pain. I know we can do better, and I know we will get better.
And then he fired the head coach. He's a horrible human being, Phil Pegula. Do you know who his daughter is?
The Jessica Pegula, the tennis
Jessica Pegula. I went a long, long way to get that out, didn't I? Yes, Jessica Pegula, who advanced to the 4th round in the Australian Open and she's one of the 4 Americans, along with Coco Gauff and I can never pronounce it.
Anisimova.
Anisimova, thank you. And who's the other American who still got a shot? Madison Keys just got bounced. I think it was Madison Keys, and she got bounced. But there are a lot of Americans that are still in this. We'll talk about that as well. But we begin, obviously, with some stunning news coming out of the White House. And you all may not be aware of this just yet. This is new news in regards to what went on in Pennsylvania or Minnesota over the weekend. The president has decided to pull Border Patrol agents out of Minneapolis in a stunning turnaround. The order does not extend to ICE, and it does not include all Border Patrol agents. However, Greg Bovino, who I'm sure you have seen and would recognize by face, is the guy with the very short marine faded haircut, who's been doing most of the speaking over the weekend. A complete disaster, because it was Bovino who said that Alex Preddy had brandished a weapon. Kristi Noem is also culpable in this. Again, let's stay open-minded about this and understand that two things can be true, but this man was murdered. Let's make no mistake about it. This man was never a threat to these people. This man was an ICU nurse. And as I've talked about time and time again, I think we are, stay with me on this because I'm going to ramble for a minute. I think we are a product of our work, our employment, what drives us to feed our families, to keep a roof over our heads. And there are many, many jobs in which that person is the job. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to be a cop if you're not the job. It's hard. I could not be a cop. I could not run down a dark alley after a gangbanger who's been shooting at me. I could not run to the sound of gunfire. And a lot of people could not be able to get a source to tell them something that they shouldn't tell. And a lot of people can't deal with other people's children. I certainly couldn't. And you are who your personality in most cases, in my opinion, your characteristics, your personality almost fits and forms to what you do. And it's been my life experience that nurses, as my father used to say, are the vertebrae of a hospital, which coincides with Kaiser nurses about to walk out. And watch, they're going to win that. They're going to win this strike for more pay because hospitals fall apart without nurses. Doctors show up and perform surgery. If you've ever been in a hospital, you know what I'm talking about. Doctors just kind of show up, they do the cutting, they take off their masks, they get the hell out of there. They get in their $150,000 car and they drive out of there. But nurses are there 24/7. They are the backbone of our healthcare. And it's been my experience that nurses as personalities are just naturally trying to help people. And in the video that I saw, I don't know what you saw, but in the video that I saw, Alex Preddy was coming to the aid of two women, one who was viciously thrown down to the ground by an overzealous ICE agent. She wasn't standing in the middle of the street. She wasn't whistling. She wasn't impeding anything they were doing. She was standing on the curb, almost on a sidewalk, and an ICE agent walked up to her and just shoved her to the ground, viciously shoved her to the ground. And Preddy reacts to that. And another woman that's there. And then they all get pepper sprayed. And then the man who pepper sprayed Preddy drags him to the ground where officers just begin kicking his ass. Let's be honest. You saw it where there's one officer that I counted got at least 3 licks in. When you hit somebody, you're not trying to subdue them. By striking them, you're merely trying to hurt them. You're not trying to subdue them. If you want to mash their head down like they did George Floyd, I get that. If you want to put your knee in their back to keep them down so you can get the cuffs on them, I get that. But to just whack on a guy, you're not trying to subdue that man. You're pissed. You're angry. You're trying to hurt that man. And the funniest thing about this entire thing, and we'll get to the audio after the break, is Kristi Noem and this idiot Greg Bovino and the absolute lies that they told. And the most tragic part about it is there are 2 parents that have had to hear Their ICU nurse son, 37 years old, being called a domestic terrorist, being called a man that went down to that street that day, in the words of Kristi Noem, to kill our agents. That's what she claimed. Let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll listen to these liars. We'll absolutely listen to these liars. And hold on. As we've been talking about since this whole thing began in Minnesota, two things can be true at the same time. Is it really a good idea to take a 9mm gun to a protest? I don't care if you have a CCW. I don't care if your hospital's in a bad neighborhood and you have to carry your gun everywhere you go. If you live in a bad neighborhood and you take that CCW when you go to Dunkin' Donuts, I don't care. Isn't it a little bit smarter, as his parents told him, to leave the gun at the house if you're going to a protest that involves, armed ICE agents that you've seen and you believe, Alex Preddy, in your mind are overreacting? Imagine this. Let's get in the Wayback Machine for just 30 seconds. Who was the most wanted, targeted man in the 1960s? I would argue it's the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who led civil disobedience, who led young people to break the law, to eat on white counters that they were forbidden to eat on, to drink through white fountains that they were forbidden to drink through. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, Andy Young, C.T. Vivian, Bernard Rustin, anybody involved with the movement of civil disobedience in the 1960s march and protest with weapons? Imagine if Dr. King had a pistol stuck in his back. Two things can be true at the same time. Alex Preddy made an imbecilic mistake by taking a weapon to a protest. Let's go and take our first break, and you'll hear from this idiot Bovina. You'll hear from our lying Secretary of HHS, Kristi Noem. Then Dr. Jeet Singh at the bottom of the hour, Kathy Abernathy at 4 o'clock, and I got a funny feeling Howard Marcus and I are going to go at it at 4:30, and then we'll talk about our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow. The pair of bald eagles up in Bear Mountain are expecting again. We're going to talk with Meg Maitland from the California Liver Museum. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Monday, just getting started. What's starting to warm up. A little golf weather. Let's go. Quick timeout. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, we know Tom Homan's been sent to Minneapolis, and the heat is on when it comes to the next steps for ICE enforcement operations in that city. Trump administration is staring down the street communists and making it known that there will be law and order. We'll talk about that, plus all the latest coming out of D.C. coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Looking for a unique way to spend Valentine's Day with your sweetheart? Skip the ordinary dinner and do something fun, entertaining, and with a little twist. This Valentine's, the Buena Vista Museum of Natural History and Science invites you to a night of romance, laughter, and murder at the Love You to Death Murder Mystery Dinner, a fully interactive experience set in the fabulous 1950s, where everyone is a suspect and anyone could be the killer. Enjoy a delicious dinner while you and your Valentine step into character. Follow the clues, interrogate the suspects, and work together to solve a crime of passion. Is it true love or deadly betrayal? Dress in your best 1950s style. Sip, dine, laugh, and uncover the truth behind the mystery, all in one unforgettable night. Spots are limited, so don't wait. This Valentine's Day, fall in love to death at the Love You to Death Murder Mystery Dinner, presented by the Buena Vista Museum of Natural History and Science. Get your tickets now at buenavistamuseum.org.
I'm here with Dr. Tarkesh from Affordable Dentures and Implants. Doc, how does digital dentistry improve the process of getting dental work done?
Digital dentistry is a cutting-edge technology that creates a highly accurate 3D scan of your mouth. It helps make a more precise and efficient treatment. For example, with implants, this can allow us to plan procedure down to the smallest detail, which in return speed up the process, reducing the time patients spend in surgery.
And who is a good candidate for the implants?
Almost anyone missing teeth, as long as the patient has enough bone to support the implant or can undergo a bone graft. Implants are a great option. We always do a thorough evaluation to make sure the implants are the best solution for each patient's unique needs.
Get the smile you always wanted without anxiety at Affordable Dentures and Implants. Dr. Nozar Tarkesh specializes in implants with IV sedation. Visit him online at affordabledentures.com or call 831-7230 to schedule your appointment today.
Go ahead and smile.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What didn't you do today? And we talked on the phone twice today.
Oh, don't you blame me for this.
Oh, I told you I was going to blame you.
No.
I flat out Friday told you that if you didn't call me, I was going to blame you.
This is shenanigans.
And we talked on the phone twice.
No.
Well, then call me tomorrow morning. Or just send me a text. I forgot the growing list of music. It grew again this weekend.
All right, here's the thing. All right.
It grows every weekend.
All right. If this is how it's going to go, I'm going to schedule a message
now
for 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'm up by 7. I'm watching the Today Show at 7 a.m. I'm actually watching the rewind of the 17 news program. I got to get going. I want you to hear all this audio before we get to Dr. Jeet Singh. Here first is Secretary Kristi Noem. This was the initial lie.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
Can you imagine, if you're the parents, that you not only have to bury your son, but a highly ranked government official just said that your son is a murderer or was an attempted murderer? Your 37-year-old ICU nurse that you raised was just called by the federal government a attempted killer, a wanted murderer who wanted to see ICE agents die that day. When all the boy was doing, was coming to the aid of 2 women who had been viciously, one had been viciously thrown to the ground. Her other assertion that they disarmed him, they found the gun is what they did after they pepper sprayed him for coming to the defense of the woman and dragged him to the ground and started beating the crap out of him. His shirt went up. They had him on his knees. His shirt went up. One of the agents saw the weapon that he had in his back, pulled it out, and that's when all the mayhem started. That's when somebody yelled, "Gun, gun, gun." And that's when Mr. Panic pulled out his gun and shot this man in the back. And that's when other officers, and we don't know how many, shot that man as he lay there on his knees and kept shooting when he fell on his back. 10 times they fired at this man. Here is Mr. Incompetent Greg Bovina on the status of the officers. Listen to this.
I understand there were 2 agents who fired shots. We know one of the agents had 8 years experience, and we know he was a less lethal instructor and had this training. What did the other agent, what was his history? And are they both working right now, or are they on administrative leave?
All agents that were involved in that scene are working, not in Minneapolis, but in other locations. That's for their safety. There's this thing called doxing, and the safety of our employees is very important to us. So we're going to keep those employees safe. As far as the number of shots, the number of agents involved, that again is going to come out in the investigation. I'm not going to speculate on who did what, when they did it, how they did it, or what exactly occurred there. I'm going to wait for the investigation to let me know what happened.
Have you ever heard of that in your life? Do you see why I call this Bovino character a clown, and why Trump pulled him and other Border Patrol people out there? Thank God Tom Homan is up there, who I think is going to bring some stability and some calm to this situation. But have you ever heard of that in your life? Even on our local level, if Officer Joe Smith is involved with a shooting this afternoon, tonight he's on paid administrative leave. These guys are still working. Hours after killing a man, these guys are still working. Oh, just not in Minneapolis, St. Paul. This Bovino character should be run out of their ice. This guy is incompetent. And again, that's why, in a stunning move that the president is finally starting to backpedal, he had a conversation with Tim Walz, the governor. I'll read you what he said about the phone call. He described it as a very positive phone call. So finally, on the administration's level, they're calming this thing down. As I mentioned, Tom Homan is on his way to Minnesota. But this guy, they're still working? Never heard of that in my life. I started covering cops in the 80s in South Central, and have never heard of a police officer being involved in an OIS and he still be on the job. Quick time out. Dr. Jeet Singh joins us next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A senior U.S. Border Patrol commander and some agents are expected to leave Minneapolis as early as
I gave the numbers on the rundown.
Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino has been at the center of the Trump administration's immigration enforcement surge in cities nationwide. His departure comes as President Trump dispatched border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota to take charge of immigration and customs enforcement operations. Many U.S. residents are facing another night of below freezing temperatures and no electricity after a massive winter storm dumped more snow in the Northeast and left parts of the South coated in ice. The colossal storm halted air and road traffic in many areas and sent temperatures plunging. At least 26 deaths were reported in states hit by the winter weather. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Back on October 4th, 2024, Christopher Tovar shot and killed his ex-girlfriend's new man in front of a house in a drive-by on Panama Street. Now, Tovar has been convicted and faces a possible life sentence when he faces a judge next month. One person is dead and 2 others in bad shape after they wrecked on Highway 178 last night after they had been trying to get away from Bakersfield police. The cops say they had chased the car on 24th Street because it was reported stolen, but broke off the chase because it was too fast and too unsafe. But the juveniles kept going and hit a guardrail on 178 where they were all thrown out of the car. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs and meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Tuesday's Armstrong and Getty show, man. We have got a tinderbox in Minneapolis that Trump seems to be trying to calm down, and I think Kristi Noem's on the way out.
And on the other end of the scale, the situation with Iran has not really changed, and our assets are now in place in the Middle East. Is a whacking coming soon? Plus the secret weapon, the discombobulator we used on Venezuela. On the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I think it's time we stop. Children, watch that sign. Everybody look what's going down.
Are you still on the 60-year tip?
Trying to be.
So this is 60 years ago?
67.
67
This
years
is
ago.
coming up. Well, no, I'm sorry. This was released in
1967.
67, so it's
Oh.
coming up on 60 years.
So you're close to 60.
Yeah, I bled over to the 67 area now, so.
I will come in with the list. Unfortunately, Dr. Jeet Singh is not available. He's a physician. It happens. We deal with it. But we'll talk with him again next week. I found interesting something real quick before we get back to Minnesota and check the board, see what you all are talking about. Have you seen the line on the Super Bowl?
4.5, right?
Yep. Seattle, 4.5 point favorite. I like
Seattle
that.
being the favorite is wild to me.
I know. I like that. And the over-under is 46. I love the over. Chris is on the phone, so I can only assume that is Dr. Jeet Singh. He says no. Okay. But one of the things that I found fascinating was reading the Los Angeles Times this morning and reading Bill Plaschke's column where, did you see this? Plaschke tore Sean McVay a new one.
Really?
Absolutely.
Post game?
Said, he gave him the molasses, then gave him the sulfur. Where he says, I realize that he's a genius. I'm not calling for a change in coaching. Normally this guy is blue to bop, but a bit, but a boop. But a couple of the decisions that he made, he even put the special teams failure on him because they've been having, granted, as he points out, special teams issue all year long. They fired their special teams coach 4 weeks into the season or something like that. So somehow he put that on McVay, which I found kind of hard to believe. One thing that he did cite was the decision not to kick the field goal, which is what exactly Ben Johnson got criticized for. And you could argue.
Sean Payton this weekend, too.
Yeah, you could argue that had they gone for the field goal, there was enough time that they could have got the ball back and kicked into the field goal and won the football game. But I just found that interesting that he tore apart McVay. Meantime, as I said, there are still, even though I firmly believe that this man was unjustifiably murdered in the streets of Minneapolis, Alex Preddy, the 37-year-old intensive care unit nurse, I think that the Democrats still are partly to blame. I think this is a complex issue because one of the questions that you have to ask, and perhaps we'll even ask Howard this when we talk with him, a former federal agent's going to join us on a Monday, uncharacteristically, is why Minnesota? Why is this only happening in Minneapolis, St. Paul? Why there in their capital? Well, because they have a mayor and a governor and an entire party of officials who have ginned this thing up. I found some audio this weekend that is absolutely frightening and really kind of speaks to what conservatives are dealing with or talking about when they say, look, Democrats have ginned this up. I also did some research and found out that many, because remember the epiphany we had when Laura Ingraham went on the ground in Minneapolis and found a protester and got them to confess that they were paid to be there? Well, I kind of dug into that. And you know that Mark Ruffalo, who had a Renee Good pin on his lapel at the Golden Globe Awards, he is funding a group called the Solution Project. And they pay people to go down and protest. So much so in my weekend research that I discovered that this group not only pays these folks to go down there, but they also provide them with information on how to act and what to do when confronting ICE agents. They have a little page here that I found in my research over the weekend. And reminders, ICE Watch Patrol. Try to be out in pairs when you can. One person can be in a role of a communications person and link, and one can record video of interactions. If pulled over or confronted, agents may lie. Keep doors locked and windows up. Notify others of their location. Record their behavior. If threatened with ICE, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's part of the reason that Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities are the focal point of this thing. And listen to this audio that I found. This is Wolf Blitzer. This is CNN, who is quoting Democratic officials.
To Axios, some are even being told they need to be more willing to go out there and get shot when fighting. That was a direct quote, get shot when fighting back against some of Trump's policies. One House Democrat saying, quote, and I'll read it to you, our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough. There needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public.
There needs to be blood to gain the attention of the public, that they need to be shot. Now, when you tie that in to a mild-mannered ICU nurse carrying a 9mm weapon with him, again, let's make it clear. I'm not saying that that justifies anything, but doesn't that sound funky to you? Doesn't that sound crazy that Wolf Blitzer is quoting Democratic officials saying these people need to be shot? And Renee Good was told by her wife, run, drive, baby, drive, as she sped away from an ICE agent who's trying to open her door. And this man brings a 9mm weapon. It just seems funky to me. It just seems funky to me. And there's more news about Renee Good. I'm not ready to share it yet because it's an autopsy that was done by the family. But I will say the autopsy describes she was not shot in the face. She was not shot in the face. She was shot 3 times. And according to this autopsy, again, by the Renee Good family, so I don't know how reliable it is, but they're claiming that the shot from the front hit her in the right breast and that she was struck a second time in the left breast and in the left temple. Meaning, and I'm sure most of you have seen the video now of the ICE agent, Jonathan Ross, at the side of the vehicle. One shot is fired from the front of the vehicle where he was struck by Miss Good. And then the second shot and the third shot are fired from the side of the vehicle into the driver's side car. And that's where she was struck in the left breast and in her left temple, with the exit wound leaving her right temple. This thing has to calm down. It truly does. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who you got?
Caleb is on the line.
Caleb, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, Ralph, I appreciate your perspective on this, as always. I was curious, you've shared over the years being a black man in cop interactions. Do you think, as a white guy, we will finally understand, like, if we bring a gun to a protest, we'll have this heightened sense of, hey, any law enforcement interaction might wind up like this, or do you think that we're still not going to understand that? Sorry, I don't mean for it to be insensitive if you're trying to get my point.
Yeah, I don't think race has anything to do with it. I really don't. I just think it's idiotic, it's moronic, it's imbecilic to bring a gun to a protest. You have every right to do so. I just think you're ratcheting it up and you're asking for trouble. But, I think this thing is only going to get worse. And I applaud the president for pulling out this idiot Greg Bovino and some of his Border Patrol agents. And perhaps with Tom Homan up there, we can kind of bring this thing down and just stop killing American citizens. That's all.
Agreed.
Thanks, Caleb. Appreciate it, man. And the other question, and perhaps we'll talk about this with Howard Marcus, is what's the end game of all this? Is the goal of the Trump administration to deport every single illegal immigrant who is here, even those who've established themselves? Let's be real. One of the things that people have talked about is comparing the Obama deportation, which pales in comparison to what Trump is doing. In other words, by this time, Obama many more deportations than the Trump administration. And Republicans want to say, well, the reason it didn't get the attention is because Democrats didn't say anything. Well, there's another reason. And I had a lot of time this weekend. I had nothing to do Saturday. So I did a little research, and the predominant number of deportations by Barack Obama were mainly done on the border or border towns or areas along the border throughout Texas and Arizona, even in Nevada, which I understand is not on the border, but it's connected to Arizona and close enough where that's where they went. The Obama administration, as much as you don't want to hear me defend him, wasn't going door to door, wasn't going into neighborhoods, wasn't going to schools, wasn't going to that market out there on Pegasus as you make the turn right off the freeway. They weren't hanging out at spots where they knew day workers hung out. That's the difference. And they weren't wearing commando uniforms. And they didn't seem to have the zealousness that these agents have. I'm still pro-ICE. I'm just not in favor of whatever the goal is, which I don't really see, because what we voted for, at least what I voted for, was for Trump to concentrate on gang members, on vicious criminals, on violent offenders. And in many cases where these paid protesters, they're defending some of these vicious criminals, because that's who these guys are targeting. Another group that pays protesters, along with Mark Ruffalo's The Solution Project, there's an organization called Defend 612. I suppose that's the Minneapolis, Minnesota area code. That's also connected, according to stuff that I found, to members of the Minneapolis City Council. So imagine if members of our city council were connected to an organization that they paid to have protesters line the streets of Bakersfield. That's essentially what they're doing. And it's also connected to another group called Cannon River Project, which is connected to Mark Ruffalo's The Solution Project and is also paid for by Mark Ruffalo. So don't tell me these people are just innocent citizens that are coming out of their homes to defend these illegal immigrants. And I found, I didn't get the audio, but I found, I don't know if this guy was trying to be funny or not, but I saw a Latino cat on the reels this weekend who said, let me send a message to white folks who are out there defending illegal immigrants. If the script was flipped, we ain't coming out to help you. He said if Tom Homan and Greg Bovino was coming after white folks, We ain't getting in between the cops and you to save your ass. I don't know why you're doing it for these illegal immigrants. And it's a great question. And I think to some degree, I've discovered the answer. They're getting paid. They're absolutely getting paid. And so again, we finish with the thesis, two things can be true. ICE agents are overzealous. Greg Bovino is a clown. He oversaw a group that killed somebody, whether you believe it was murder or justified defense. And the man that shot him, or the men that shot him, 48 hours later, are still on the job. Have you ever in your life heard of that when an officer-involved shooting occurs? Have you ever, one time, heard of that? No, you haven't. Because Greg Terry and Donnie Youngblood pull those guys immediately, and they're on paid administrative leave until the investigation is over. But that's just one of the protocols that have been absolutely skipped over. The fact that the DHS and the DOJ and the FBI are locking out Minnesota folks from this, the fact that they have not called in what is called the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Investigation, which is a unit that specifically and exclusively investigates officer-involved shootings. The fact that the government has stepped in and said, no, you're not going to have anything to do with this, only makes this even murkier. Because you've already lied to us. This man didn't assault anybody. This man wasn't brandishing a weapon. So you've already lied to us. So it's mandatory that some outside agency, even inside the state of Minnesota, takes a look at this thing. Kathy Abernathy is going to join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk a little politics. Another Politico poll is coming out, gubernatorial poll. And once again, now, with just 10 months to go, two Republicans still sit atop of the poll. And Eric Swalwell is dropping like an anvil in Mariana's Trench. I'm telling you, Republicans have a boxer's chance. They really do. Like they say in poker, all you need is a chip in a chair. Chip in a chair, and you got a chance. Go all in a couple times. Quick time out. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Kathy Abernathy at 4 o'clock. Our former federal agent, Howard Marcus, gives us his thoughts on the weekend at the bottom of the hour. And we'll talk Eagles. No, not Bakersfield Christian. Not even Brentwood High School, my alma mater. Go Eagles. We're talking about Jackie and Shadow. They're having a baby. We're having a baby. My baby and I. Stolen from the I Love Lucy show. Quick time out. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Monday. Right here on News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The JR Show.
Adaptive.
To do 2 blocks, and Andre's vision is to go 4 more blocks to the west and another block to the east, and you multiply that by 3, and you're getting $20 million in improvements down 6 blocks where, I don't know, another certain city councilman and his boys just happen to own 5 different properties.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Are you tired of being treated like just another ticket number by your IT company? Well, then that means you need to turn to the folks at Adaptive Networks. And again, as I've tried to explain to you, nobody but the folks here at AGM can tell you better how quickly they react, how incredible their good work is, because we're a client. They keep this radio station on the air. Adaptive Networks delivers exceptional customer service every single time. Real people who know your name, understand your business, and generally care about your success. No phone trees, no runaround, just honest, friendly service that puts you very top of their list. Experience that difference. Call Adaptive Networks today at 241-0638, 241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com, or just tune in every other Wednesday when owners Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us right here on the broadcast. It's Adaptive Networks.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 55 and with one of the big three carriers, like Verizon, you may notice they don't talk much about their 55 plus discounts. That's so customers like you keep paying their regular higher rates to boost their bottom line. You deserve better service. With 100% US-based experts, better value, with plans starting at $20, and a company that's built for people 50 plus, like me. Not convinced? Give your current carrier a call. Ask about the 55 plus plan you've earned. See how long it takes to get a real person on the line, and if they try to talk you out of it. But if you want something better, call Consumer Cellular. We've got the same great coverage, and our US-based experts can get you switched in about 20 minutes. Switch now to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com for your second month free.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Eight 842-5376, 842-KER. Let's check the board, see what you all are talking about.
Ralph, there's a reason they use the word degenerate when they describe habitual gamblers.
Are you calling me a degenerate gambler? I've made 5 or 6 bets this year. I got off under. What do you care? Why am I answering this idiot? Okay, I'm a degenerate gambler. What else?
Nurse Peretti
I lost
should
$25
have left his butt at home. He'd be alive today.
I think that's just too simple. That's just too simple. You have a right to protest. And I didn't see him doing anything. You know, at one point he was directing traffic. I didn't see him engaging the agents. I didn't see him banging on cars. I didn't see him yelling at anyone. What I saw, maybe it's a different video than what you all saw, but I saw a man, an intensive care unit nurse, and his basic healing characteristics come out, and witness a woman, because I genuflected when I saw that ICE agent Aaron Donald didn't hit Lyman the way this guy hit a woman. Just from close range, just absolutely takes both of his arms, just shoves her to the ground. And that's why Preddy got involved. And there was another woman who got sprayed as they started just casually pepper spraying them. So you've pepper sprayed this man, you've got him on his knees, and yet these ICE agents are still scared to death of this guy. I just think they're poorly trained, and they're overzealous, and they're drunk with their own power, which seems to me on a certain level is almost limitless, where they're breaking into homes, they're dragging people out of their cars. This just isn't what we signed up for. I would have never voted for Trump if I could have envisioned this is what his deportation plan would look like. We were going after, yes, illegal people, but illegal people who have established themselves here, who are paying taxes because they work here, people who have families here. Had I known that that's what I was signing up for, I wouldn't have voted, because I certainly couldn't have voted for Kamala Harris. I probably would have voted for the independent candidate or put in one of the names that the people put down that we read every year at the election office. I think the leading candidate is always Jesus. Sometimes it's Mickey Mouse, Santa Claus. Hell, I might have put down Ralph Emerson Bailey Jr., but I don't think I would have voted for Donald Trump if I could envisioned that this is the way it was going to be. We were going to see ICE agents killing people on the streets, shoving people on the streets. This Greg Bovino, this leader of the Border Patrol, was seen throwing tear gas and cursing at people over the weekend. That's why Trump pulled his sorry behind out of there, particularly after the lies he told and the fact that he's got 2 agents who just shot a man to death. They put 10 bullets into a man, and those guys are still working. Like, I thought it was universally accepted that if you're involved in a shooting, we got to get you off the line. Sometimes for your own good as the shooter. You know, whether it's justified or not, you kill somebody, that's a pretty traumatic situation. And to send somebody who's just killed somebody in one of the most controversial deaths in recent history, and you just send him back out there to work? You really think that makes sense? That makes Bovino qualified to lead those guys? Hell to the no, it doesn't. He's an idiot. He's a clown. And his performance has proven itself because Trump has yanked him and several other agents out of there. Not all of them, but specifically Bovino. Really think that's a coincidence? No. In many situations, Trump and I think alike. This guy is a clown, this Greg Bovino. And Kristi Noem should be forced out of the clown cabinet. I always thought it was going to be Patel, or we predicted Bongino, but Noem has got to go. She is just as dishonest as the day is long. Kathy Abernathy joins us next.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At least 26 people are reported dead as a result of that mad winter storm that spread over much of the nation over the weekend. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro tells WPVI Philadelphia they're working on getting power restored to anyone who lost it.
The good news is the public worked with us. They stayed off the roads to give PennDOT an opportunity to get out and clear the roads. And so we really want to thank the public. I'd also note that one of the things we worry about in storms like this, particularly where there's some icing and in the back half of the storm we get some sleet and freezing rain, we worry a lot about power outages because the weight of the snow can bring down those power lines.
Heavy ice snapped branches and power lines in the south, leaving hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without electricity. Arctic air was spreading in behind the storm. Different views from Minnesota leadership in the White House over the death this weekend of a protester by ICE agents. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
My question is, what's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 313 points. The NASDAQ rose 100, with the S&P 500 advancing by 34. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Listen closely. If your retirement funds include an IRA or 401k, this matters right now. The stock market is at an all-time high. The dollar is under pressure. Interest rates are heading down. And leading economists are warning that the global financial system is
What's
changing.
going on, Bob?
Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now to get your free gold investment guide, valued at $49, plus your free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Investors across America are turning to gold and silver with Advantage Gold. Right now, silver is flashing a signal you can't ignore. Silver prices have been rising sharply, and history shows when silver moves, it can move fast. Learn more before this window closes. Call 800-900-8000 right now to get your free precious metals rollover kit. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Gold and silver can surge when the economy shifts, and they don't wait for permission. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-8000. That's 800-900-8000. From the KRN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The lives of 3 kids changed forever by their actions. I'm Chris Davis. Police say those 3 juveniles were in a stolen car last night about 5:15 on 24th Street when police began chasing them, but then stopped when the car chase became too fast and too dangerous. But the juveniles kept going, finally hitting a guardrail on Highway 178, which threw them all out of the car. The Highway Patrol says one of them died, while the other 2 ended up in the hospital severely hurt. Police have yet to publicly release any names, and they do not know yet if the 3 might have been impaired. Police may also be looking for signs of impairment on a 21-year-old woman who died just before 5 this morning when she was run over while laying in the road south of Arvin, says the Highway Patrol. That happened on North Rancho Drive. A car that was being driven by a 23-year-old man ran over her. The man then stopped and cooperated with the Highway Patrol. They say he had not been drinking, but they may be testing the victim who died at the scene. Her name has not been made public. This is what happens when you don't show up for
So what's your take
you
on
lose what
Minnesota?
little freedom you've got left. Floyd Lester pleaded no contest last year in a hit and run that happened back on March 29th, 2024 on Buck Owens Boulevard, where 41-year-old Antonio Enrique Arjona was hit and killed. Lester was supposed to be sentenced here this month, but did not show. Now he's been rearrested, and those few days that he had left as a free man were taken away. His bond was revoked, and he will now face sentencing February 3rd.
And when
You
the
should be
autopsy
aware
comes
that
out, it's even
Weibel
gonna be
Road
worse.
between Brundage Lane and Bell
Because all
Terrace
the
will be
wounds
closed
gonna
on
be
and off
back.
today, and then again Thursday and Friday
Except for the other
for some
ones
work
that
on that
turned
new
over.
connector bridge that will go over Weibel from Highway 58 to Highway 99. I'm Chris Davis
Not
in the
to shoot 'em.
KERN
Not to
Newsroom
shoot
with
'em.
news every half
Not to
hour
shoot
and
'em.
when it breaks
Beat
on
the crap
FM
out of 'em,
96.1
tase
and
'em.
AM 1180
Beat the crap out of 'em.
KERN.
Which they did also.
What do you think? This is the army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get a post like this. Let them beat you, blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
He's a moron.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the
coming to
call.
the
You
aid of a
understand me?
woman.
You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Monday, 26th day of January. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Coming up bottom of the hour, Howard Marcus makes an uncharacteristic Monday appearance. Former federal agent will get his thoughts on the events that have transpired over the weekend. Then at 5 o'clock, we're off to the California Living Museum via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network. We're going to talk with Meg Maitland. She is the director of the California Living Museum, CALM. Our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow, are expecting again up in Big Bear. The first question I want to ask them, because 17 does a fabulous job of monitoring that video that comes out of Big Bear that they set up years ago. And they showed it before Jackie or Shadow. Do you know, Chris, which one is the female of the two, Jackie or Shadow?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's Jackie.
Okay. Like Jackie Jackson? Like
I just
Jackie,
have met more
like Jackie
female
Robinson.
Jackies than males. So
See, I know more Jackie men than I know Jackie women.
see, every Jackie that I guess I would know would just go by Jack. They wouldn't really go by Jackie.
Jackie Robinson, although Jackie Robinson did go by Jack. But they're pregnant again. But here's the question I would ask her. Weeks ago, you could see them preparing the nest. So am I stupid to wonder, so even eagles know when they're pregnant? Like, do they stop having a menstrual cycle? That was a joke. That was does the rabbit die? I mean, how do they know? I'm just asking questions here. I'm an LA boy. What do you want from me? It's a Monday.
Get your motor running.
Head out on the highway. Kathy's looking for adventure. Professor Kathy Abernathy. How are you, Professor?
I'm fine. How come I don't know what these things are? What is giving birth that you're, is this some
Jackie
nostalgia?
Shadows. No, they're a pair of eagles up in Bear Mountain.
Why do you know about
Big
them?
Bear.
Big Bear.
Because where have you been, Kathy Abernathy? For the
under
past
rock.
5 years, this group called Big Bear for Eagles that we love. I don't know what the damn group is called. I could look it up in the LA Times if you really wanted me to. But they have mounted a camera on the tree where Jackie and Shadow, a pair of eagles who will be together, according to my research on eagles over the weekend and the documentary that I saw about 6 months ago, will be together like penguins. Like they're done. They're lifetime mates, are eagles, just like penguins. And for years, we all have been watching. 17 monitors it. I can't believe you've never seen this, where we've been monitoring their family progress. We saw Sonny and Gizmo arrive, and their brother died, unfortunately. Then the next year, we saw a pair of their eggs get eaten by ravens. That was traumatic. You laugh, Kathy, but I was torn up.
I don't know where I've been.
I don't know where you've been. They have like classes that monitor this. Literally.
Really?
Yeah.
Two eagles. Okay.
A pair of eagles, Jackie and Shadow. They're
What's
married.
a female eagle called? Does she have a special term?
I
Eaglet?
don't
No,
think
that's
so.
what their babies are called.
Yeah, I don't think they do it by
No,
gender.
I'm ignorant on that.
Yeah, and now suddenly an egg has popped up, and from my research, I understand that they don't lay all at the same time, so there could be more eggs on the way.
Twins, triplets, or
Yeah.
wow.
So you should tune in.
Okay, but there's got to be 1 million eagles in California.
True. Well, I don't know
So
about
this
a
must
million.
be,
But
well, half a million. This must be going on a lot. It's surprising why this, because they've somehow captured their locale.
yeah, they have a camera that's mounted there 24/7. God, you should have seen it last year when they had all that snow up in Big Bear, and either Jackie or Shadow, one of them, was hunched over the babies and just covered in snow, where you could barely even make it out that it was an eagle. She was so covered in snow, but she sat there like a thing, and the only thing you could see moving was her head for predators. That's all you could see move. And I find it absolutely fascinating.
Wow.
And then I got even more entrenched when I saw this documentary on PBS on eagles. And I came in here for about a half an hour and bored everybody to death with everything that I saw. But just how fast they can go, and how far they can see, and how they can see trout in the river, in the lake, and just come scoop them up and grab them.
I've seen some of that.
Oh, that's amazing to me. And just how their wing formation allows them to dive unlike any other, not even like another eagle. Like they're bald eagles, and then they're like brown eagles. I think they're called brown eagles, but they're a different kind of
They
eagles.
soar a certain
Yes,
kind of way.
and they have the wing formation that allows them to dive like no other. And they act as it was described, like flaps on a plane. And other birds don't have that wing formation that allows them to do that sudden dive.
So who are their enemies? Who goes after?
Well, nobody messes with eagles. The males, the adults, but the ravens and hawks go after the kids.
They do.
And then they have a bad survival rate. It's like 50-50. They fall out of the nest before they know how to fly. Ravens will come and prey on them, hawks. stuff like
So
that.
probably zoos keep some, so they have.
Com certainly has a couple. I do know that.
Mhm.
I know that. I've seen them
San
out there.
Diego Zoo probably does too. They're
Yeah.
pretty good about that.
I'm just, there's certain animals,
Mhm.
eagles, killer whales, elephants, giraffes,
Yeah.
that just absolutely fascinate me. Have you ever seen the video of the giraffe that they were on a safari and the giraffe, they thought it was all thing, they're feeding the giraffe. And I always say this, wild animals are wild animals.
They live up to their name.
And the giraffe picks up the woman by her collar and carries her to her death. He goes galloping off and they go chasing after the giraffe. And
He was carrying her that far?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yes, there's video of it.
Ooh.
These group, they're in a Jeep and they're all ha ha ha. And she's putting a leaf in his mouth and he's, I don't want the leaf, and grabs her by her collar. And the whole group is panic running after this. And he's just, later. And later they said she died. I don't know whether she died from a fall, because you think you could die from a fall alone.
Yeah.
You know, these things are gargantuan.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's
Whoa.
crazy.
Whoa.
I'll send you the video.
Whoa.
I'll send you the video. I
I'd
really
like to-
will.
I would
really
like
will.
to. I think I'd like to see it. I hope.
All right, so we got a couple of topics on the ledger today, and whatever you have in the now a few minutes we have left.
Okay.
This charter decision that's coming up before the board tomorrow. Your thoughts?
Will it be up tomorrow?
That's what I'm told. Is it tomorrow or Wednesday? When do they meet? No,
Well, I
Tuesday.
think
Tuesday. Yeah,
Does it
tomorrow.
have to be before the printing of the ballot starts? So that would. Yeah, this is, and I don't know a ton about it, but a lot of the main counties, Fresno, LA, San Diego, Orange, they're not. We are a general law county. They are charter counties, which gives you a little bit more self-power.
Yes,
and
that's what caught my attention.
Yeah.
That it would end Newsom or whoever the governor's ability to appoint board of supervisor members. And I was like, well, I'm for it. I don't know anything else about it, but now I'm down.
Well, and especially this year, and is because he'd be finishing his term, and then he'd get to appoint a supervisor who
When
could be
David
here.
Couch leaves,
Yeah.
because we're assuming
Couch
David
is
Couch
running
is
for
going to.
assembly
Yes.
unopposed, which concerns me in terms of the fact that it left a seat open. But perhaps if this passes, then there'll be a choice of the voters or the supervisors. At least they're local. And I think LA, San Diego, being a board of supervisor there is bigger than being a legislator.
Yeah, it is. You got a lot of power.
They don't like the idea that a governor could appoint somebody on the other 4 seats that they're at. So it makes sense. We're a big enough county. We certainly have not had in many, many years a governor supportive of our commerce, and so it makes sense in that regard too. I think there's some other things they can do to get a little more autonomy over the kind of things that they can do. So versus California. So it sounds okay to me that they address that. And I think it makes sense to think that I understand governors, they appoint sometimes for U.S. Senate if somebody dies and there's so much time left, but it is incredible power. And this is a rural county with 300 miles away from them. It'd be nice if we could have more of the say so.
That Gavin Newsom doesn't know anything about other than oil and water.
He doesn't know anything about oil and water except he fights us on it. Nobody better than Dave Knorr, Mayor of Taft, who took on Newsom when he came out there to look at the oil spill.
Yeah.
And Dave explained to him, and of course he said, then when they come in, I don't know, some pro-green group come in on a mini blimp or something, he said, the fuel you just used up? They don't even think there's fuel. They think someone blew up a balloon and they landed. So,
hey, hang on a second. Call up that Scott Beeson audio I sent you. We're going to play that in just a second, but go ahead.
Okay. So that will be, if the Board of Supervisors vote to put it on the ballot, it'll be on your ballot this June. And so the ballot this June is going to have all the statewide offices, governors, the Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, all of them will be on. It's a non-presidential election, right? So everything else is on.
And what's the
Congress,
turnout
Assembly.
normally?
Well, it's less. It's less than the general when a presidential is running. But
But
there
is
will
it putrid? Is it really, really bad?
Well, no, it'll be, but like when we talk about governor, I mean, that race, probably whoever gets about 6 million votes, particularly if the Republican can get 6 million votes, they can win. So it's going to be important. I think it's going to be a very important election.
important.
Yeah, we've had prior to Gavin Newsom's 8 years, we had Jerry Brown's second batch of 8 years. That's 16 years. And then we had a few years of Schwarzenegger, and he kind of went back and forth. Started out being more conservative. Then when his polls were sinking a little, he hired Gray Davis's chief of staff, brought her back in, and the rest of his second term wasn't much. So yeah, it's this initiative will be on you vote yes or no.
Yes.
Vote
yes.
If you want to have us be a charter county, not a general law county, giving us more power to control some of the things in our lives. So yeah, that'll be. I think most of the board is I think maybe all the board is in support.
Good.
So
which catapults us to the political poll. And again, I know there's a lot of time, but we're starting to fastly approach June, and another poll still has Sheriff Chad Bianco at 18%, Steve Hilton at 17%, pair of Republicans, with Katie Porter kind of still hovering at 14, although I think she's eliminated herself. But I think the most fascinating thing about this poll is that Eric Swalwell has fallen to 11%. And he is the congressman with, I would think, the greatest name recognition, but just disliked in the state of California. He really is.
He's easy to dislike.
Yes. And then it's TS, Tom Sewell. Steyer, excuse me, at 8%. Xavier Becerra at 6%. Who is Matt Mahan? Never heard of him.
Matt Mahan.
And not that we ever will, because he's polling at 5%. And then, of course, there's Antonio Villaraigosa, who's at a powerful 2%. And Tony Thurman, the black superintendent of schools, at 1%. So they're insignificant and will probably drop out before June.
Well, these numbers, I'm not sure how much they mean because nobody has spent money yet. When they start spending money and put up, ads that either beat up one of their closest opponents or praise themselves if they cure cancer or something, that will change these numbers. I would think that I will be happy if one Republican comes out of this primary. And again, I hope your listeners understand we don't have primaries anymore. Really, we have this thing called top two, regardless of party. And I don't think that's ever been healthy for our system here since they did away with it about 10, 12 years ago, because you don't have a competition of political philosophy, which is what this whole thing's about. There is a political philosophy to being Democrat versus Republican, but you get two Democrats in the general, one of them will try to play a little to the Republicans to get enough votes to bid them, but they'll go right back to being what their party philosophy is. So I still look at this and I say to the two good Republicans, Bianco and Steve Hilton, what are you going to do when you get up there? You're going to veto this legislature stuff? Well, they got more than enough votes to override your veto. So if they can override your veto, what are you going to do up there? And I want voters to get in their heads that what's in the building, just like Congress, what's in Sacramento's Capitol is not conducive to give and take, to negotiating and compromise, which is what our system is supposed to be about. There is no negotiating and compromise. It is their way or the highway. State Senate, there's 40 state senators. There's 8, 9, 10 at the most. You can't do anything with 25% of the vote in any entity.
But you can use the bully pulpit of the governor's office to highlight the stupidity. You can use your power to expose what I believe is only just the tip of the iceberg of the recent fraud that they have found in California in dealing with the homelessness. I think that our fraud pales in comparison to what I'm saying an opposite of what's going on in Minnesota. In other words, Minnesota's does not compare to the fraud that's going on here. Yes. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And I think we've just, with this recent discovery, just found just the tip of the iceberg. So you can do things like that. You can convene committees that'll examine some of the stupidity that's been going on for years and decades and expose Gavin Newsom at a time when he needs support, because this I found over the weekend. This is one of the 4 or 5 really good members of the cabinet, Scott Beeson, who basically, if you're Chad Bianco or Steve Hilton, you need a Stinson legal pad and listen to the Secretary of Treasury.
ironic that Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry, and I'm sure the California people won't forget that. And I can tell my message to Governor Newsom is the Trump administration is coming to California. We are going to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse. And I was told he was asked to give a speech on his signature policies, but he's not speaking because what have his economic policies brought? Outward migration from California, a gigantic budget deficit, the largest homeless population in America, and the poor folks in the Palisades who had their homes burned down. He is here hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything.
That is the greatest outline of a campaign I've ever heard. If I were Chad Bianco, I would get on the phone with Scott Beeson tonight. Got anything else for me? Anything else?
Right.
I got my Stinson legal pad right here. I'm taking notes. Help a brother out. Good googly moogly. That was outstanding.
Well, I hope they come in before this year's out and expose it so that, and it exposes not just the governor, it's going to expose the legislators who know darn well about the abuse. They see the money, they just throw more at it, nothing gets better. But if the California voter is going to continue to just be ignorant to what's really going on, and I have a quick experience I had Friday. I was in a medical office, an annual checkup thing, radiology, and the radiologist female, I guess I brought up I was in politics, and she said, well, my husband's in the Marines, and she's here, and we don't vote because they're going to do what they want to do anyway. And I thought, look at, you're a radiologist, a member of the Marines, and they don't vote.
That's frightening.
And that's why I just have to keep saying to your audience and everywhere that I speak to, it really does matter.
Yes.
It really does matter. It isn't Greek. It isn't that hard to understand the issues. But by golly, you're paying for it. $14 of every tank you're handing to Gavin Newsom. Other state governors aren't doing that to their people. So why don't we wake up? So I think this will be a really good year. And if it is, Katie Porter might survive.
Yeah.
I still think she could survive just because she's the LA, person on that list. Although I'm surprised that Becerra Villagrosa isn't making it better. But Steyer prints his own money.
Yeah, he does.
He could have ads up the wazoo here.
He's hanging around at 8%.
Yeah. So, but now Bianco, he is a sheriff in Riverside. That's a big county. To lapse over, I'm sure people have heard of him, San Bernardino. And
yeah.
Steve Hilton's been on national TV all the time with Fox. So, we do have that going for us.
I don't see Hilton.
You don't
I don't see him anywhere.
Yeah.
I see Bianco, who is smartly utilizing the internet. He's using Instagram and Facebook very effectively. I see him a lot on Instagram and Facebook, but I don't see Steve Hilton at all.
That much, yeah.
I really don't.
Well, I think they're saving it. And yes, the election is June 2nd, but you'll get ballots May 2nd. So actually, we have March and April to campaign. Yeah. Once filing closes, some of these folks are going to drop off.
What is it, March?
March 2nd or 3rd is the cutoff.
Shut it down?
Yeah. And I was at a political thing in Southern California. I had two different people that are running for governor as Republicans. One's named Mark Anthony. I mean, people just do it. It cracks me up. But so the ballot, you'll probably have 20 names. Which surprised me because the filing fee isn't small. It's $1,800 or $2,000 probably because it's 1% of their salary.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. And the only reason I say what's a governor to do is that I want to get back to everybody that redistricting matters, drawing the districts matters, because a Republican, with no brains, no name, can get 45% of the vote with no money in the state with the state border, but they can't get it the way the game's been created to gerrymander. Yeah. This county has 2 congressmen plus a little bit of a 3rd congressman, and yet we're the size of 1 congressional district. Why is it split up? Because they're playing games. So anyway, it's important what's going to come up.
The other issue that's got Republicans' heads exploding is Gavin Newsom putting off the special election to replace Doug LaMalfa, who unfortunately passed away and left that seat open. They're backing it up all the way to August.
Well,
why is he not putting that on the June ballot?
Well, technically, that's going to be the general. They are going to do the primary in June.
For
the LaMalfa old seat, because Prop 50 destroyed it. And so it's very Republican seat now because it's all those cow counties up north. But when they redrew it in this Prop 50, they threw in, 600 of the 760,000 people live in Sonoma or Marin. So I think that changes the voting pattern.
Big time.
So, yeah. So he could have called it a couple weeks earlier prior to our June 3rd primary. But if Gallagher, assemblyman from up there, is very popular, if he can get
a Republican,
Republican, if he wins a majority, 51% of the vote, then they won't have the runoff in August. He can go to Congress the next week, which will be helpful. I feel for poor Speaker Johnson. He's hovering at right now. He's right at 218, not 221, not 220, just at 218 because he
has no majority.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, 218 is the majority. He's got that, but that's like a threat. That's one.
Because one guy's in the hospital.
Right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a special.
Resigned.
And this one is a special. And then 2 Democrats are actually having specials. So things could change, but it'd be nice. That's why I support redistricting reform. California would have 20 more Republican districts that we could send Mike Johnson if we just had fair lines. And we're going to get them someday because I'm going to keep talking about it.
You should. You should keep banging the cage.
Yeah.
Because with AI, there's no reason why we can't have decent districts.
Honor city and county lines. You don't split up Lodi 3 ways. You don't split Santa Monica in half. You honor the plan that honors city and county lines the best will be the plan. And you can hand it to our Democrat Secretary of State. She can't argue this. The computer prints it out, it shows you. And then we'd have competitive seats. And whether they end up with a Republican or Democrat, it'll be competitive. It's not that way now. All the seats are, quote, safe except a couple. Valadeo's, they tried to make more difficult, but he'll probably still win it. But it's a important election year, and we are going to suffer in Congress from California with losing 5.
I think Jasmeet Bains has made a strategical error by trying to imply that U.S. Attorney Eric Grant was here on her behest to look into the Scrivener thing. So the next day we had Sheriff Donnie Youngblood. I met with the guy. Scrivener never came up. I don't know what you're talking about.
They're going around California on various subjects. I saw her try to inch into that. She's very good at that.
That's crazy.
News
Jasmeet
Bains and AM 1180 KERN.
Oh, Lord have
Jeet
mercy.
Peters in Washington. The fatal shooting of Minneapolis man Alex Preddy by federal immigration officers has sparked calls for an independent investigation. The Trump administration has launched 3 federal probes, but details remain unclear. Tensions are high in Minneapolis with conflicting narratives about the incident. Many U.S. residents are facing another night of below freezing temperatures and no electricity after a massive winter storm dumped more snow in the Northeast and left parts of the South coated in ice. The colossal storm halted air and road traffic in many areas and sent temperatures plunging. At least 29 deaths were reported in states hit by the winter weather.
My uncle
On
told
Wall
me that,
Street, the Dow up by 313 points. More details at SRNews.com.
About 20, 30 yards.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. The crash last night just before 6 on Highway 178 involved 3 juveniles in a stolen car, say Bakersfield police. They had broken off their chase of the car, but they say the 3 kept going, hit a guardrail, were all thrown out, killing one of them and severely injuring the other 2. A woman was hit and killed this morning just before 5 on North Rancho Drive, south of Arvin. Police say the 21-year-old was laying in the road. They don't know why. The man who hit her stayed and cooperated with police. Weibel Road between Brundage Lane and Bell Terrace will be closed on and off today and then again Thursday and Friday for some work on that new connector bridge over Weibel. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know, Michael, one of the things people don't understand sometimes is all the work that goes into making these awesome commercials. You know, you and I are out here, we get to do all the fun stuff, talking it up, having a good time. There's a guy that sits over here behind his computer, Rocky. Now, this guy, there's a true talent. We're just a couple of knuckleheads with some voices. This guy really makes us sound good.
Truer words have never been spoken. I've known Rock for a lot of years, and he is like Mozart with that computer. He makes everyone sound better.
So with that being said, one of the ways you get so excited about Salty's Barbecue is because of the great work that Rocky does when he puts together these awesome spots. I'm going to let my good buddy Rocky just say a quick hello and a big thank you to him. So Rocky, here you go.
Thank you, gentlemen. I truly appreciate those kind words, and it is an absolute honor to be able to knock these commercials out for you guys. And yes, they are not exaggerating because these guys are a handful, to say the least.
You can find us at 9425 Rosedale Highway or 6801 White Lane, or if you want, you can go to saltysbbq.com and order online.
Salty's Barbecue and Catering.
California Grill,
Texas approved. Oh, it's good.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk water with the best in the business. That'd be Lois Henry, SJV Water. There may be one or two overt references to the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl. We will have news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1. Streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
But Howard Marcus joins us, given what has transpired over the weekend as a former federal agent, getting his thoughts. Howard, you have the floor, sir. What do you think?
Well, I think it's an unfortunate. Hopefully, you can hear me. The phones seem to go in and out.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. Okay, good. It's an unfortunate incident. The problem you've got is that the Monday morning quarterbacking on the issue. You just look at the facts on the ground, and I watched the entire video, not when he was just scuffling, but when he was standing in the middle of the street impeding ICE traffic, blowing a whistle, and standing in front of cars, which was before this incident. And he went there to disrupt. He didn't go there to peacefully protest.
I thought he was directing traffic.
No, blowing a whistle and standing in the middle of moving traffic is not what I would call.
And waving,
not a law enforcement official.
And waving a car through. He wasn't waving a car through.
No, he was trying to disrupt traffic. That's why he was there for.
How do you know that?
His actual motivations. I can only see when I saw a guy standing in the middle of moving traffic, waving his arms around and blowing a whistle, directing where, why. That's a question to be asked later. But here's the reality of it, and I won't go into the specifics. Let's just deal with the actual incident itself, rather than
whether it was a justified shooting or not.
Well, there's something called, and there's a legal definition. The Supreme Court even ruled on it in 2025. It's called the moment of threat rule, which is a rule for law enforcement that kind of avoids the Monday morning quarterbacking. It's the perception of the officer at the moment of threat. We're realizing they have a moment, a split second to react to a potential threat. And what happened here was he entered into impeding, regardless of whether you agree with the actions of law enforcement. He attempted to interrupt a law enforcement official who was either restraining or detaining another person, a third party, which he had no legal authority to do so, and in fact, it in itself was a criminal act.
No, wait, what are we talking about?
When he tried to intercede when they were trying to detain or push the woman out of the road.
Wait. Let's be accurate, Howard. Pushed is a very generous description.
It doesn't matter where they.
When he viciously shoved a woman to the ground.
Exactly, but he had no authority.
Let's just take it piece by piece. Isn't that accurate? That he viciously shoved a woman to the ground? He did not.
No, he pushed her to the ground.
He just pushed her to the ground.
I think again, let's stick to the facts. He had no authority.
That's what I'm trying to do, because I don't think you are.
The side of the road is not to litigate your case. Civilians have no authority, and he committed a criminal act when he intervened.
So an ICE agent has the right, if I'm standing on a curb on a street in Bakersfield, an ICE agent has the right to come up and knock me to the ground.
If you are impeding remember, they were there for a targeted arrest. If you're there, if they're attempting to detain a third party, and another third party comes up and attempts to impede the investigation, the detainment, or arraignment of an individual, they have a right to detain, arrest, and if you want to call it that, push somebody to the ground to detain her, which is what they do when they arrest you. Well, again, I don't want to get into the rhetoric of it, but the individual that was shot had no authority and no legal authority, and was in fact committing a criminal act as soon as he got involved. Secondly, here the CCW requirements for Minnesota, which I researched over the weekend, you are required to have your ID and your permit with you when you carry, which he did not. Therefore, he technically was not even legally allowed to carry.
And that's what resulted in being shot in the back.
No, but here's the thing.
Well, let's get to the chase. We only got a couple of minutes, Howard. What resulted in him getting shot in the back?
Well, I watched the footage, and when they yelled "gun, gun, gun," because it was kind of a dog pile at that point when they're trying to restrain him.
Where they were beating the crap out of him.
He was resisting. Again, it's rhetoric. We can agree he was resisting. If you and I stood there and let them put our hands behind our back and arrest us, as we see hundreds of times, without fighting or scuffling or being brought to the ground, it wouldn't have happened.
And let me stop you.
Finish. In that moment, when he was resisting, in the confusion of the incident, and when someone yells "gun, gun, gun," the officers have literally a split second to react.
Okay, you got to let me stop you. I'll let you speak the whole half hour, but you got to let me stop you at certain points, because I'm old and I won't remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying that he was scuffling with the officers. He was resisting arrest. Right. After they pepper sprayed him? After they had him on his knees? After one of the officers, let me finish. After one of the officers hit him several times in the face? That's when he was a danger to these men?
No, he was a danger when he had a handgun shoved in his waistband, when he went to a protest, an armed protest, illegally carrying, because he was no longer carrying under the rules of Minnesota, and intervened in a third party's incident with law enforcement. And everything after that is on him. If he had not decided to go there, his own parents told him not to go. If he would not gone armed, he'd be alive. They wouldn't have yelled "gun, gun, gun." If he had not interceded illegally, he'd be alive.
So if you oversaw this, you would declare this a justified shooting of an American citizen?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
I think law enforcement concurs. You have to be in law enforcement. There's a legal definition called moment of threat. They do not have the time to Monday morning quarterback. They cannot wait for someone when they're scuffling on the ground to draw a firearm and decide if he's going to point it at them and shoot or not. It's a split-second decision, and the courts have ruled on this repeatedly. Now, what the courts have done, they had a recent ruling, is they've stated the perception of the officers prior to that. In other words, were the officers acting in a manner dangerous or reckless or had a history of this prior to that? That's most often like traffic stops, things like that. It was a specific case. In this case, none of that applied because they had no prior interaction and no prior history of this. This just happened really on the spot. And that's going to be the defense. And it's going to be a legal defense. It's been justified in numerous court cases. But the reality of it is, if you talk to anybody, any CCW instructor, and you know people locally like Craig Powers, they're going to tell you that there is a big responsibility when you decide to carry. One is the simple issue is that you carry under the rules of carrying a firearm issued by the agency. He did not. He violated those rules right off the bat.
And you're saying that had he not violated those rules, had he had an ID, had he had a CCW in his back pocket, they wouldn't have shot him in the back.
Well, what you're supposed to do and it's a wobbler in some states. It's almost like a wobbler in Minnesota. You were supposed to identify yourself to law enforcement as you carry. If you watch Kyle Rittenhouse, for example, the footage when he raises his hands and says, "I have a firearm," and walks towards police, he wasn't shot. If I'm stopped by at a traffic stop by police, I require him to notify, I have a concealed weapons firearm, I have a firearm, I'm not going to reach for it, but I'm letting you know I have one. That's part of the legal requirements of most states, including California. Minnesota is a wobbler. You're required to notify them if you're asked. Well, in this case, they didn't have a chance to ask him. They just noticed that they're taking a guy to the ground who was involving himself in their arrest. He had a firearm on him.
Was he ever brandishing the weapon, in your opinion?
No, I don't think he was brandishing.
He never touched the weapon.
That I don't know, because the footage is so confusing.
Well, what's confusing about the video? What's confusing about the video? We see one of the agents disarm the man, do we not? Or am I lying eyes, as Christy Nome telling me, my eyes are lying to me, as Christy Nome told me?
I think it was very difficult to see in the moment. And again, it's easy for us to look at a video from 30 feet away from a third party who's not involved in the scuffle.
Let me stop you again, Howard. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but let me stop you again. You're telling me that you looked at that video and you did not see an ICE agent walk away with a handgun. You didn't see that. You did not see the shirt go up, the agent grab the gun, and the agent walk away with a handgun. You didn't see that.
No, it didn't actually. No, I was focusing on the scuffle on the ground. That's what I was primarily looking at. I was trying to.
Then you need to go look at the video again.
I watched it several times, but here's the
apparently not, Howard. If you did not see what I saw, am I inventing this, Howard? Am I inventing the video that I saw a man walk away with a handgun?
Ralph, I'll watch it again. It makes you feel better. But here's the important single point that would have prevented this entire incident from happening. If you'd obeyed the laws of Minnesota, if you'd obeyed the laws of the responsibility issued in his required training, this is not a permitless carry state. He had to go through training. I guarantee you can have anybody call in who trains CCW classes here in Bakersfield. They'll tell you the same thing. There's specific responsibility when you carry. You go through a background check. You go through specific hours of training. You are told not to do this kind of stuff. And everybody that has responded to this has said the same thing. He would be alive today if he didn't put himself in harm's way and did not carry a firearm to a violent protest. This was standing on the side of the road. This was not him, doing a "We Will Overcome" song and march on a bridge. This was him interceding in law enforcement
and coming to the aid of a fallen woman.
That's not his job, and it's not a legal act.
The man's an ICU nurse, and he sees a woman fall to the ground,
when he does the wrong thing.
We're not expecting him to go to her aid.
No,
he's just supposed to be like,
Ralph, you are using rhetoric to avoid the fact that he could not legally do so and was committing a criminal act when he did.
I'm describing human nature, Howard. I'm describing human nature. And had I been out there and I had seen a law officer throw a woman to the ground, I might have come to her aid and tried to help her up.
Then you would be arrested as well, and you'd be committing a criminal act, Ralph, and then you'd pay the consequences.
And I'd probably get shot for it. You're right. You're probably right. You're probably right. You're probably right.
Firearm, Ralph. You're getting the rhetoric again. If you got involved in a lawful detainment or arrest, regardless of the circumstances, the nature of it,
and wasn't brandishing my weapon, I'd get shot.
No, if you had a firearm on you and they were wrestling you to the ground in the confusion of that, because there were several officers involved, and you heard the voiceover, somebody yells "gun, gun, gun," which I can tell you, any law enforcement official will tell you there's a different reaction as soon as they hear that. It's an immediate threat
to fire your weapon
when they react to it,
and immediately you fire your weapon when you hear "gun, gun, gun."
Perceive a threat. If you perceive a threat, you do, and then the courts will later adjudicate that, and they have found officers harmless.
And Alex Preddy
shooting when it happens.
And Alex Preddy, who had been pepper sprayed, is on his knees, was a threat to that agent.
You have to go back to the original premise I keep repeating like a broken record. If you're not illegally involved himself.
But the officer that shot him didn't know that at the time, Howard.
That what? That he was impeding them? Of course they did.
That he was illegal. That he didn't have his CCW.
He was Ralph. He was being detained because he illegally interfered. That's why they were detaining him. They didn't pick him out of a crowd on the side of the road. He came over to them and attempted to intercede when they were detaining another individual. He was being detained, Ralph, because he committed a criminal act.
And
that's why they were on him, right?
And he deserved to get shot.
You're using rhetoric. if you pay the consequences of decisions
If it's justifiable, you deserve to get shot. And Christy Nome told me over the weekend it was justifiable.
If you have a firearm in your waistband and you go to intercede and get involved in a scuffle with law enforcement, it is not inconceivable that there's a good possibility in the reaction times and the adrenaline and the reaction of a perception of a threat in that moment that they're going to react the way they did.
And you believe that he's
a lot.
And you believe he's a domestic terrorist who, as Christy Nome told me over the weekend, came there. Well, I'm repeating the DHS secretary.
I'm not involved with the rhetoric. I'm telling you the legal acts.
Well, I'm asking you to respond to what the DHS secretary said, and that was that he was there to kill the agents. You believe that?
I don't know. I just saw a guy calling for that online. So did you. The problem is that there's a widespread organized network that is calling for people for violent protest, and the individuals in Minnesota that are running the state are calling for the same. And you've seen them do that. You've seen Waltz make those statements. You've seen numerous statements that are inflaming people and that are calling, when you denigrate people and call them Nazis, Gestapo, and tell them to stop by any means necessary, and telling people to arm themselves, what do you expect to have happen, Ralph? People who arm themselves think they're justifiable in interceding, which this individual did, when it is not legal.
It's just funny to me.
Price when things go south.
It's funny to me to hear you and other Republicans who have such a strong respect.
I'm not a Republican, you know. I'm a libertarian, by the way.
Okay, you and Republicans who are such strong advocates of the Second Amendment to criticize a man for carrying a gun and saying that because you're carrying a gun and if you are involved in a crime while carrying a gun, you deserve to get shot in the back.
I didn't say that, but however, the Supreme Court has ruled that all rights can have reasonable limits, including the Second Amendment. That's why we don't have felons are allowed to carry guns. That's why people who are adjudicated mentally ill are not allowed to have firearms. That's why California allows CCW to have training requirements and limitations on how and when and where you can carry. The interesting part is I'm seeing the Democrats saying it's a Second Amendment right. That all of a sudden they're for civil rights because it furthers their agenda to say so, that this guy was just exercising his rights. Well, the reality of it is that there are reasonable limitations. For those that say he's exercising a Second Amendment right, Ralph, go take your Glock and go down and try and go into an airport, a bank, a school, or hospital and exercise your Second Amendment right and see what happens to you.
Well, in the state of Minnesota, you can go in the state of Minnesota, you can go in the state capitol with the CCW.
Go into a federal courthouse. Go where the government in charge.
You can't get into a federal courthouse with a weapon. They have what do you call them, Chris, when you're trying to get on the airplane?
Metal detectors.
Metal detectors.
Right.
In a federal courthouse.
It's not an absolute right. No right is absolute. The same thing we can't, the whole thing. You can't say fire in a crowded theater. The Second Amendment is not an absolute right. And I'm a big Second Amendment guy, as you know. But there are reasonable restraints for the public safety. And one of them is that there are limitations on how and where you can carry concealed. And the states have a right to declare what those are. If they go beyond those limits, as recently was ruled in California, by the way, by the Ninth Circuit, overturned the California law on limitations on CCW carry. They tried to limit it to everywhere where you could not carry. The state struck most of that down in the appeals court. So the right is not absolute. And to say it's a Second Amendment right to go armed to a protest and then intercede with law enforcement, not stand on the side, not protest, not merely display your firearm, but to actually intercede is not exercising your Second Amendment right. You are committing a criminal act while armed. There is a complete difference.
They shouldn't have shot him, Howard.
Well, it's a tragedy that they did. He'd still be alive today if he followed his parents' request and didn't go, if he followed the requirements of his training class when he interacted with law enforcement, if he used common sense and didn't wrestle with somebody when he had a gun in his waistband.
I never saw him wrestling with anybody.
He was on the ground. Was he complying with them trying to detain him? No.
He was going to the aid of the woman that was knocked down. They were pepper sprayed. Let me finish. He was pepper sprayed. The man who pepper sprayed him dragged him to the ground. He was beaten. And as he was on his knees, they found the gun. The man took the gun away from him, shouted, "Gun, gun, gun." And on his knees, blinded by pepper spray, they shot him. They shot him out of fear, not out of fear for their life, but they just panicked and they put 10 bullets in a man. And when the autopsy comes back and the majority of the gunshots are in his back and the others are in his upper torso because he turned over and they continued to fire on him, shooting him 10 times. maybe we won't have to have this discussion. But I was
Well,
afraid.
that's not
I was
not
afraid we
uncommon, Ralph.
would. I thought
Multiple shots.
maybe there was a chance we would not have this discussion, but I was afraid we would.
Well, I told Chris when I came on, I didn't want to get into this because you and I were going to violently disagree on everything other than
There's
shooting
nothing
yourself.
wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but I didn't want to get into it, Ralph. I just want to look at the actual legal aspects, which is he committed several criminal acts. He did the wrong thing by his own training requirements. The state of Minnesota with CCW, and unfortunately paid the price for those mistakes. That's the simplest answer, and that really answers everything else is just rhetoric and supposition and opinion.
All right. Very good. All right. Say hi to Mary. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Okay.
All right, man. We'll talk to you then.
I'm going to go have a beer now.
All right. Very good. Lucky you. Lucky you. Howard Marcus. Love him to death. Couldn't disagree with him more. And the idea that he did not see the video that I'm assuming most of us saw, where in fact, in one portion of the video that I saw on one station, they highlighted the agent holding Alex Pretty's gun, where in a darkened picture, you can highlight one spot. You see the man, the ICE agent, holding Pretty's weapon. And then you hear gun, gun, gun. And then you see the agent panic, hear gun, 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 and just start shooting the man in the back. You know, I thought there was a time in America where we didn't shoot people in the back, where we hanged people who shot people in the back. Different world, I guess. Quick timeout. We'll check the board as we head toward the 5. We get to end on a much happier note. Talk about life. Jackie and Shadow, a pair of bald eagles in Big Bear, are expecting and could be expecting more. I'll explain when we talk with Meg Maitland at the top of the hour from CALM, our California Living Museum. That's all coming up right here on The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of the Clay.
You got Casey right here. You want me to play it?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
And the heat is on when it comes to the next steps for ICE enforcement operations in that city. Trump administration is staring down the street communists and making it known that there will be law and order. We'll talk about that, plus all the latest coming out of D.C. coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Turning a friend on to KC Steakhouse this weekend. And I'm going to give this person the full tour. We're going to have dinner in the dining room where Jimmy and Bobby are providing live music Tuesday through Saturday, and just enjoy the 80-something-year-old ambiance of the best steakhouse in Kern County. Then we're headed next door to the speakeasy-like bar that Cassie Biddle put together about a year or two, maybe 2 years now, where we're going to have a craft cocktail and then say hi to Haley, the bartender that's in there, and to either Loudy or the other entertainer that provides live music in the speakeasy type bar, the Stockyard, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. If you have not been into KC Steakhouse this year, go in. Yes, the Christmas ornaments are down, but Cassie's got it looking beautiful, and her wonderful staff is awaiting. Where would you rather be than at the finest steakhouse in Kern County on F Street in the capable hands Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-537-6842 KERN. I want to thank Howard Marcus for coming in on the day he is not scheduled to come in. He's our former federal agent that joins us at 4 o'clock every Wednesday. Let's read a text message and head up to the California Living Museum.
You could say dumb to carry a gun to protest, even in the backpack, but MAGA carries AR-15s to some gatherings. Right to carry Second Amendment only for them. $50,000 to human no better. The last part is, I think, pretty jumbled, but
I said at the top of the show, and I'm willing to meet those who think it's justified halfway and say that it was absolutely imbecilic of Alex Preddy to take a weapon in wake of Renee Good and the whole atmosphere in Minneapolis. This isn't just one situation. This is a growing hotbed in one portion of the country. This isn't happening anywhere else. There are protests going on here in Bakersfield. But why is this happening in Minneapolis, St. Paul? And Howard's right, and I said this at the top of the show when we played the Wolf Blitzer spot where they said, quoting Democrats, saying we need bloodshed to make our point. When I highlighted the groups that have been paid to go down there and disrupt this, but I just didn't see what Howard saw in looking at that video. I saw a nurse coming to the aid of a fallen woman who then got pepper sprayed, taken to the ground, beat the crap out of, and with pepper spray in his eyes and on his knees, he met his maker being shot in the back.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Immigration officials are making changes in Minnesota.
A source tells the AP a senior Border Patrol commander and some agents are expected to leave Minneapolis. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino has been at the center of the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement surge in cities nationwide. Criticism of Bovino has intensified after he defended the shooting death in Minneapolis of Alex Preddy by Border Patrol agents. Bovino disputed claims about the confrontation that led to Preddy's death. President Trump has sent Border Czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis to take charge of immigration and customs enforcement operations. I'm Ed Donahue.
Tennessee and parts of the South were hit hard by snow and ice as a powerful winter storm barreled through over the weekend. Nashville resident Alex Murray says his family had to evacuate their home because of Sunday's power outage, and ice-covered tree limbs were coming down all around them.
There's many tall trees, so we kind of hear a lot of those booms a lot. The bit was kind of terrifying a little bit, so to speak, especially considering there's that can fall onto your house or whatnot. Fortunately, we escaped one that fell into our backyard.
The storm, which started in Texas and New Mexico, spread over the Midwest and eastern parts of the nation, killing at least 29 people. The Federal Aviation Administration says a private craft with 8 people on board has crashed on takeoff from Bangor International Airport in Maine. A good day on Wall Street with the Dow up by 313 points. The Nasdaq rose 100 with the S&P 500 advancing 34. More at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
They were trying to get away from the cops, and all of them were thrown out. I'm Chris Davis. A crash after a police chase last night that ended on Highway 178 killed one of the juveniles that was in the car and hurt the other 2 badly, say Bakersfield Police and the California Highway Patrol.
Not worth coming
Police
back
began chasing the car they determined had been stolen on 24th Street, and when the speeds got too high, they stopped chasing. The car kept going and hit a guardrail on 178, throwing the 3 juveniles out. One of them died, and the other 2 were seriously hurt and are in the hospital. Police don't know yet whether they were under the influence. A woman who was laying in the road was run over and killed just before 5 this morning. That happened on North Rancho Drive, south of Arvin, says the Highway Patrol. They say a 21-year-old woman was laying there, and they don't know why. She was run over by a car driven by a 23-year-old man. He stayed and cooperated with police. Closures are planned, and this all has to do with the new connector bridge from 58 to 99 over Weibel Road. Today, Thursday, and Friday, Weibel between Brundage Lane and Bell Terrace will be closed on and off for some prep work for the new bridge. The workarounds will be Real and H Streets. Then, February 1st, a long-term nighttime closure of the Ming Avenue to northbound Highway 99 and westbound Highway 58 on-ramp begins. A man who killed his ex-girlfriend's lover may be going to jail for life. Christopher Tovar is due to be sentenced February 24th for the October 4th, 2024 killing of Rudy Herrera, whom he shot from a car driven by Lacey Guerra. The court proved that he drove by once, shooting at Herrera and missed, then came back by and shot Herrera, this time in the heart, at a house on Panama Street. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get a post like this, bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Monday, 26th day of June. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live, KERNradio.com, and broadcasting live on YouTube. If you missed any portion of the broadcast, you can go back on YouTube and watch this show or any other that we've done in the last 3 or 4 months. since we've been broadcasting live on YouTube. And we still got lots to do. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk about Super Bowl 60 now that it is set. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the New England Patriots. The Seahawks are a 4.5-point favorite. The over is 46. It is at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, February 8th, with a 3:30 kickoff. And I'll just say this, for those of you who will be hosting Super Bowl parties, as I have said for years, Mr. Burdick, the key to a good Super Bowl party, there are two.
Okay.
Dare to guess?
Food.
But be more specific.
Chips?
No. Shrimp.
Okay.
And ice.
Okay.
Keys to a party. Keys to a party. Because by halftime at every Super Bowl party I've ever been to, hey, we're out of ice. I need a cocktail. And shrimp, you get a big bed of shrimp with maybe some deviled eggs inside the circle. Oh, can't. Who doesn't like shrimp? You know what I'm saying? And who doesn't like deviled eggs? Well, actually, no, a lot of people don't like deviled eggs, but so what? It's my party. As we told you at the top of the show, our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow, are expecting yet again. And the only person that has never heard of Jackie and Shadow or have heard about the camera that's up there in Big Bear is Kathy Abernathy. How has she not known? This has been going on for years. We've been talking about it on this show for years, their whole situation. And joining us to talk about Eagles in general and Jackie and Shadow in specific is the director of the California Living Museum, Meg Maitland, has joined us. Meg, thanks for coming on the program.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Am I pronouncing that right, Maitland?
Yep.
Outstanding. So obviously you've heard the good news.
Of course. Super exciting.
Yeah. All right, let me, I'm trying to show off now, Meg, because I watched the documentary on Eagles about 6 or 7 months ago, and we had the folks from Big Bear on the last time they went through this, but just interrupt when I'm wrong.
All right.
Okay, Jackie and Shadow will be together for as long as they live, which is about 20 to 30 years, because much like penguins, eagles mate for life. True or false?
That is 100% true.
Yeah, okay. Now, here's the question I told the audience I was going to ask first. 17 has been following this quite well, as you're probably aware. And about 2 weeks ago, long before she gave birth, I guess, or laid the egg, they were preparing the nest. And maybe I'm just an idiot, but can animals like that? And apparently I've already answered my own question, but how does an eagle know that they're already pregnant?
So they'll nest regardless. So they'll go through and they'll start practicing their nesting period.
Okay.
And lay eggs and all. They'll lay all their branches out and start preparing the nest, anticipating that they will have viable eggs.
Okay. And is it true there's one egg this morning that I saw, but is it true that there could be more coming?
Yeah, so on occasion there are several days between when eggs are laid. I think traditionally for those two, last time they had a 3-day separation between eggs. So they were looking today, the folks at Big Bear were looking today, hopefully that there's another egg coming. We'll see.
Yeah. Now I've given the audience the molasses. Now let's get to the sulfur, which is the fact that the survival rate is not good. There's a 50-50 chance that the egg will hatch. And then once the eaglet is born, there's a 50-50 chance that they survive. The many, many elements, the elements of weather. I was chronicling to Kathy earlier that 2 of the eggs a couple of years ago were eaten by ravens. So the survival rate is horrendous. Is that also true?
So it kind of depends. I have seen about some sites that say about a 70% survival rate once they hatch. It really just depends. I mean, mom and dad both are guarding their eggs really, really well. And so the predatory aspect, as long as the parents are doing their job, is a little bit lower. But you'll typically see like ravens or other birds go after the eggs once they're not viable, or when the parents start to leave their nest more often because the eggs haven't hatched, things like that.
Yeah. And there's another dumb question. Between Jackie and Shadow, is Jackie the female? Because Chris and I have been arguing. I know more male Jackies than I know female Jackies, so I don't want to take it for granted. Is Jackie the female?
I'm not going to be able to help you with this one. I don't think I've actually gone through and looked at like which one is which. I just read them as a pair. I don't think I've gone through and paid that much attention to that. So I'm so sorry. I can't answer your question.
Oh, Burdick and I are brokenhearted. We had a little bet on him.
I'm taking it as a win for me. I don't care.
He's taking it as a victory, nevertheless. Why these two Eagles? How you have any clue on how the folks up in Big Bear focused on these specific Eagles, and what is the Eagle population like now in the great state of California?
So two different things. So my understanding is, the Friends of Big Bear have created a nonprofit to really protect eagles and golden eagles up there, and have really just turned this into an amazing sensation and a great educational learning opportunity for folks. So I'm in love with it that we can just follow these guys throughout their lives. I think it's fantastic. So really, it's just one of those, people that care a whole awful lot made a big difference, and that's phenomenal, right?
Yeah, that is. And go ahead.
As population so as far as California goes, I do know that our eagle population, they're obviously no longer vulnerable. They've moved to the least threatened of species across the country because of all of the work we've done for conservation since the 40s and the failouts from those guys, because they were almost extinct. And so these guys are doing really, really well. They're seen more often, which is phenomenal.
And there are different type of eagles. These are bald eagles, and aren't there brown eagles? Is that right?
We have golden eagles.
Golden
well.
eagles.
Those are the most common ones you see. Golden eagles and bald eagles. And we call them bald eagles, even though they're not actually bald. But these guys, their heads start to turn white around ages 4 to 5. Yeah. And so that's when they start getting that really white, noticeable head.
And that's right around the time, 4 or 5, when the eaglets leave the nest, because we have not seen Gizmo or Sunny or any of the other eaglets that survive. They move on and start their own life at 5, correct?
So they'll do some out of the nest. They're doing some of the fledgling stuff around 10 to 12 weeks as they start learning to fly. And then as they get farther and farther away, they'll start, finding their own significant others, I guess, as you call it. And we'll stay usually within about a 100-mile radius. But yeah, they'll stay for quite a bit over years.
Yeah, phenomenal animals. They really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
The documentary I saw on PBS was absolutely fascinating about how their wings are almost formed like the flaps on a plane, and how the speed that they can get up to, and their intelligence. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. What do you have bald eagles out at COM, correct?
We do. Right now we just have Spirit. She's one of our older bald eagles. If you go out there, she's in her mid to late 30s, we guesstimate. And so she's got one eye out there. But what's really cool is we have her on habitat because she can't be released. But we do have a few wild eagles that are out by the river down there. And you'll hear them chittering back and forth. And so they'll definitely communicate back and forth, which is something we love to hear.
Are those bald eagles or golden eagles?
Bald eagles.
Yeah.
Yep. We have a golden eagle named Amber as well, but we'll get bald eagles down by the river, and they'll make their way up to COM on occasion and hear those guys chittering back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. I will leave you with this, our TRBS quiz. Do you know how close we came to having the turkey be our symbol? And do you know the founding father was all trying to push that forward?
So it was in 1782, and it was Benjamin Franklin. He wanted the turkey because he felt like the eagle was a bad example of Americanism, because the eagles will steal food from others and, are a little bit more sassy, I guess. And so he wanted something more defensible. So it was Benjamin Franklin.
Silly me to think I could fool you with that question.
You got me with Jackie and Shadow's gender. So you win me on that one.
Very good. That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much thank you for all that you do out at COM. Say hello to our buddy Jordan, and we appreciate you taking the time and coming on the program.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You as well. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Meg Maitland. She's the director of the California Living Museum. So we still don't know. So you know what you got to do? Got to go to the internet. Hey, Siri. Between the bald eagles, Jackie and Shadow, which one is the male?
Shadow is the male bald eagle. This answer is from Catholic365.com.
Vindication?
Oh, come on. You were a 7-1 favorite.
This is true.
With the name Jackie. And Shadow is not a woman's name. You would never name a female eagle Shadow. But you know what that means, though? It's an interracial marriage. Come on. Eagle named Shadow, that's a brother. I'm sorry. I crack myself up sometimes, that's all. Bald brother eagle, that's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with interracial marriage. Brother and young Jackie. Although Jackie might be a sister for all we know. Named like Jackie. For women, that's kind of a black name. Jocelyn. Jackie. Just saying. No, Jocelyn is Joyce, huh? What's the long name for Jackie? Isn't there a long name like Richard and Dick and Robert and Bob? Isn't there a longer name for Jackie? Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, yeah.
Duh. Ralph Bailey. Super genius. Quick timeout. We'll check the board again. Got some other stories to get to. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk about Super Bowl 60. Who you got is the question. I have no idea, but whoever I got, bet against. Although I had one of the winners, they just didn't cover. And one of the listeners called me a degenerate gambler. I made like 6 or 7 bets this whole year. And I've erased Underdog, whatever the hell is off my phone. But I never bet on the Super Bowl because I literally went like 12, 13 years not getting it right, including started with the Raiders' defeat against Tampa Bay, and I went on about a 12-year run where I just never got it. And even in my youth, I lost the Super Bowl betting against the Raiders my freshman year at Morehouse College. Raiders, Philly. I took Dick Vermeil and Ron Jaworski. But I had the Los Angeles Raiders in '84, Jack, and made a fortune. Made a fortune. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Monday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
Messmaker.
Tuesday's Armstrong and Getty show, man. We have got a tinder box in Minneapolis that Trump seems to be trying to calm down, and I think Kristi Noem's on the way out.
And on the other end of the scale, the situation with Iran has not really changed, and our assets are now in place in the Middle East. Is a whacking coming soon? Plus the secret weapon, the discombobulator we used on Venezuela. On the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I am so excited to talk to Daniel Petrie this Thursday. Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, who are all about retirement. But Daniel joins us every Thursday at 4:30, and he gives us the ins and outs on the deficit, on what's going on inside the Beltway, and most importantly, how it impacts your wallet. And one of the features that he does every single week is update us on gold and silver. That's why I'm excited to talk about him. I saw a piece this weekend that kind of got into the factors that's caused silver and gold to simply go out the roof. And the predictors say it's only going to climb. Well, we'll find out this Thursday when we talk with Daniel Petrie at 4:30, as we do each and every week. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Are you looking for a one-of-a-kind way to honor your team or commemorate a special event? Look no further than Martinez Challenge Coins and More, the premier challenge coins and specialty metals company in Bakersfield. With years of experience and a commitment to quality, Martinez creates custom challenge coins that are truly exceptional. Whether you need coins for your military unit, law enforcement agency, or corporate team, they have you covered. Their expert team will work closely with you to design a coin that reflects your unique vision. From intricate artwork to personalized details, Martinez ensures that every coin is a true work of art.
Hi, I'm Ray Martinez, owner and founder of the company. So don't settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary.
Contact Martinez Challenge Coins and More today and let them bring your vision to life. Visit their website at martinez-martinezllc.com or call 661-304-9589. Martinez Challenge Coins and More, where excellence meets craftsmanship.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN.
I want to again thank Meg Maitland of the California Living Museum, taking a couple of minutes out of her schedule to come and talk with us. I'm going to do something that's going to upset and make happy the folks that are watching on YouTube. I'm going to turn my back to the camera and read some of the comments.
Before you do that, I have some good news for you that I heard earlier in the hour.
I always like to be good newsed.
Mr. Arier called during our talk with Kathy.
Yeah.
And starting on Monday.
He's official?
It is official. He will be part of the broadcast.
Nice. Big Mike's Rage and Barbecue. And yet, after 9 years, he's still raging hot. My best friend and former Green Bay Packer left tackle and New York Giant tackle who played for Bill Parcells. He's part of Bill Parcells' ESPN bio. He's getting screamed at by Bill in the bio. And yes, you can absolutely, even through the helmet, tell that it's Mike if you know him. But for almost a decade now, he's been running a very, very successful catering company. And we're proud to have him on as a new sponsor starting a week from today.
That is what I was told.
Outstanding. That is good news. Now, let me extend my microphone and move over here because I don't think I've quite seen as many people in the chat room making comments as I see today. So leave us go and read some. Hey, Ralph, good to see you. Lots of news over the weekend. Been waiting all weekend for your show today. Thank you. Ray says the family of Eagles has united people who otherwise would not relate to each other. That is good. Absolutely right, Ray. Cotton-eyed bro says, I share your outrage, Ralph. Well said. This is why I keep listening to your show. That young man was murdered, shot in the back 10 times. Mr. Chavez, J. Chavez says, hello, everyone. Floor Lynn says, was uncovered. I don't know what that means then. Says again, we're no longer talking of the fraud issue. And I responded, that's what a lot of people think this is all about, a massive cover-up with the Somali fraud, which you can make a pretty damn good argument. Nobody's talking about getting rid of Tim Waltz any longer. Patricia writes, nobody watches the news anymore. Okay. And then Alan Merrifield writes, please don't take up Professor Abernathy's time with your obsession with these Eagles. Well, screw you. It's my show, and if we talked about the Eagles for 30 minutes, that's what we're going to talk about. The title says The Ralph Bailey Show, not the Patricia Show or the Kathy Abernathy Show, for that matter. Don't interrupt me talking about Eagles. Forget you. Please don't take, oh, that's the other one. I can't make your title out. LKLE-H7 says, if the dead nurse was trying to help, why was he standing in the middle of the street directing traffic to block the ICE guys? Why in the world would he bring a loaded firearm to a, quote, peaceful protest? Then adds, bad shoot ultimately, but the nurse was reaching inside his coat/vest when they yelled, gun, gun, gun. I didn't see that. Had the nurse not been stupid and brought a loaded firearm, he would still be here today. That is a fact. He makes another entry. In California, if you have a CCW, you must immediately announce that fact to any law enforcement officer. And he sends in another submission. Good's car is moving. No surprise, the hits went through from her right to her left. Yeah, because he was on the side of the car and shot her. The first shot from the front of the car hit her right breast. Then when she drove by him and he continued to shoot, he shot her in the temple, her left temple, and her left breast. Was it really necessary to shoot her as she drove off? I understand as the car is coming to you, but as she passes by, you say, here's two more, take this with you. I don't know. Maybe I just live in a different world, man. Maybe it's just the innate liberal in me, but I just think that you're going to catch these criminals. There's no reason to shoot them. There's just no reason to shoot them. How much time I got? A couple of minutes. I can't read you guys' titles. Rotor Udage. I don't know what that says. Ralph, I am sorry, but you are losing the debate from a legal perspective. Howard is trying to educate us. Okay. Patricia is back. She says, Ralph, yes, Ralph, go do it. I dare you. Go do what? Josh says there's a video where you see the officer who took the gun away from his waist, which Howard says he hasn't seen, who shot the gun he took away. I don't know if it was accidentally, and that's what made the cops unload their gun. So Josh is saying that the officer that took the gun away accidentally fired the gun. I had not heard that. Josh adds again, there's no point to argue with this guy, Ralph. He has a federal agent. He's going to defend his own. Rotor Edge says, all around, very sad to have a life taken. God help us. No kidding. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's admit that Howard's right. Let's concede that point. Did they have to shoot him? On his knees, pepper sprayed, beaten. Let's not forget, his eyes are burning. You ever been pepper sprayed? It's not something that you get pepper sprayed and like 5 minutes later you're okay. You get pepper sprayed and you are struggling for a half an hour if somebody doesn't put milk or something. Water doesn't really help it. It's milk that really helps it. But he's prone, he's on his knees, he's beaten, pepper sprayed, and he was a threat. Okay, all right. All right. I just disagree. Where am I? Mary, Howard's wife, says he lacked common sense, which happens in most of these protests. Why impede the agents who were there to pick up a violent illegal immigrant in the first place? Well, like I told your husband, Mary, I don't think that he was impeding the agents. I think he was simply trying to come as an ICU nurse to the aid of a fallen woman. Final half hour of the broadcast. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Northeast and most parts of the South coated in ice.
Call Bento Sushi.
The colossal storm halted air and road traffic in many areas and sent temperatures plunging. At least 29 deaths were reported in states hit by the winter weather. The fatal shooting of Minneapolis man Alex Preddy by federal immigration officers has sparked calls for an independent investigation. The Trump administration has launched 3 federal probes, but details remain unclear. Tensions are high in Minneapolis with conflicting
Yellowtail
narratives about the
salmon
incident.
and the rice.
On Wall Street, the Dow
right,
by 313 points, the S&P up by 34. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Oh,
From the
Lord,
KERN
have mercy
newsroom,
on my
your
poor
live and
wretched
local
soul.
news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Back on October 4th, 2024, Christopher Tovar shot and killed
So I
his
was 100%
ex-girlfriend's new
wrong.
man in front of a
This love
house in a
after lockup
drive-by
is
on
pretty
Panama
good.
Street. Now, Tovar has been convicted and faces a possible life sentence when he
There's a
faces a judge next month. One person is dead and two others in bad shape after they wrecked on Highway 178
both
last night
flying.
after they had been trying to get away
But
from
he's still in
Bakersfield
lockup.
police.
So
The cops say
that's
they had
correct.
chased the
This
car
is
on
love during
24th Street because it was reported stolen,
He's
but
in
broke
prison.
off the chase because it was too
Then
fast and too unsafe. But the
there's
juveniles kept going and hit a guardrail on
the
178
broad who
where
tried
they
to
were
get
all thrown
pregnant.
out of the car. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN
Sopranos.
newsroom with news every half hour
Where
and
they
when it
tried to
breaks on
sneak
FM
his sperm
96.1 and AM 1180
got
KERN.
We've all been there, sleepless
he's-
nights, wondering
he's
if your
not coming out
business's
for
security
another 3
service is
months.
really protecting what
And
matters.
then
At
the
Bail
coup
Alarm,
de
we can
grace.
put your security
In fact, I meant to ask
insecurities
verdict
to bed.
month.
Our advanced technology and personalized
There's
support
one
ensure you
broad
can rest
who's a
easy knowing
professional
we're here
in
for you.
Nevada.
BailAlarm.com.
She's
When
a
life calls
courtesan.
for a little extra,
Do you know what
kitchen upgrade,
courtesan is?
paying off debt, or that dream vacation,
Yes.
Valley Strong Credit Union is here to help. With a Valley Strong
Old
home
term.
equity loan, you can tap into your home's value with
And
competitive
the
rates,
hint is she
flexible
lives in
terms,
lives
and
and
local
works in
guidance
Nevada.
you can trust. Get approved in as little as 5 minutes.
She's a
with
hoe.
funding in as few as 5
She's
days.
at a brothel.
Your goals are within reach. Visit
She's a
valleystrong.com
prostitute.
to get your offer today.
And
Valley
that's
Strong
the
Credit
term
Union.
they used
Grow
to
your
use,
possibilities.
courtesan.
Equal housing lender,
She's a
NMLS
fucking
number
prostitute.
456-506.
And so, just like love after lockup, the first interactions,
call
you know, it's an
American
hour
Business
show.
Machines.
So they
Since
come on like 2 or 3.
1927,
Each
American
couple
Business
comes on
Machines, an
2 or
authorized
3
Canon
times
dealer,
during
has
the
been
hour.
providing reliable
And so the
office
first 2
solutions.
segments,
From state-of-the-art
baby, I'm
copiers
waiting
to
on you. It's
advanced
great.
printers,
Love you.
we
Boo,
ensure
boo,
your
boo,
business
boo.
runs smoothly.
Then the
Visit
third time he calls,
abm1.com or call us
and
today
she's in
at
the line.
1-877
Where they have
yes ABM1. That's
And she has to say, hey, I got to call you. I got a client.
1-877-937-2261. American Business
And
Machines,
you,
your
they go
trusted
back to
partner
him,
for
and he's
all
like,
your office technology needs.
he's in prison.
The
He's like-
JR Show.
And they talk to him.
Weekdays at 2
He's
p.m.
like,
Last question, what is your favorite thing
you know, I
to
knew what I
do
was
as
getting
an
into.
8-year-old?
As an
Yep.
You call
Hurry up, you only got 30
volleyball.
seconds. Play volleyball, not hang out with
He's about to
dad,
fuck
not
some
come on
other
dad's
guy.
radio show, not
Because I hardly
So
Okay.
do it.
I knew what I was
I've
getting
asked you
into.
a million times and
and
you're
still
just like,
fucking
no,
That's-
all the fun stuff I do with dad. No, just play volleyball.
Weekdays at 2
Haven't even met.
p.m.
Haven't
News
even
Talk
met yet.
96.1
Haven't even met.
and AM 1180
That's why I
KERN.
love it.
I'm JR
That's why I love
Flores.
it.
Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Exactly.
Now, back to the Ralph
Exactly.
Bailey Show
It's
on News Talk
and she's not a
96.1
bad looking
and AM
broad.
1180
A little heavy, a little
KERN.
thick. Hear me tell the story again because I just told it to Randy. But love during lockup, which I said normally isn't that good because the wannabe boyfriend or girlfriend is still in prison, because there's love during lockup, and then of course there's love during lockup, and then there's come on, man. You gotta find your base, man.
I got no base. You've been trying to get me to do this for a long time. This is the base. This is the base.
That's
in the
about as
voice.
low as you can go.
That's as low as I can go.
All right, let's go.
Love after lockup. See, it's not even close. It's not even
It's
close.
not even
It's not even close.
It's not even close. But now we're in love during lockup. And as I was telling Randy and those eavesdropping on that can hear through the commercials,
naturally,
one of the girls who is waiting for her man to get out of jail is a courtesan. Do you know what a courtesan is? It's an old term for what she does for a living. And I will give you a hint. She lives and works in Nevada.
Okay, so I'm assuming it has something to do with either gambling and or
Say it.
prostitution. But I'm gonna go with prostitution.
That is correct. She's a pro. She's a pro. She's at a brothel in some county, not in Pahrump, where like the premier brothel is.
Yeah.
but it's some other county in Nevada where they allow legal prostitution. And dude, it was classic Love During Lockup. Classic Love During Lockup, where at the very beginning it goes extremely well, and then reality sets in. Because it's an hour-long show, and Love During Lockup, the guy is, or the gal is still locked up. So, and it's an hour-long show. So each couple gets about 2 or 3 15-minute segments, right? Depending on how interesting they are. If you're a crappy couple, you probably get one long 15-minute segment, but the more interesting couples get 2 or 3 10-minute segments during the show. And in the first 2 segments involving the prostitute and her incarcerated soon-to-be man, everything is hunky-dory. Oh, baby, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you, baby. I love you too. I miss you. I'll be out shortly. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, baby, I can deal with what you do. I knew who you were when I got involved with you. Blah, 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 blah. But you've been there for me. You've been putting money on my books. I love you. I don't care. I can get over it. Blah, 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 blah. Then right around 6:50, 6:45, with about 10 or 15 minutes left in the show, and the third segment involving the girl and the man and the courtesan and the dude, she's in the line. Because apparently, I've never been in a brothel. I've had an encounter with a prostitute when I was 17 years old and backed out and ran for Morehouse. But apparently, the girls are all in the back in the room, and a bell goes off, and they all come into the room together in a lineup. And these idiots that are willing to put on a condom and get with these nasty women get to pick from the lineup. So she's in the lineup, and the boyfriend calls. And she has to say, hey, I'm at work. I got a client. I got to go. So, of course, the camera goes back to the guy in prison. And all of a sudden, I love you, and boop, 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 turns to, damn. And, they have a producer there that talks to him, to ask questions and get stuff out of him. And he said, I know what I was getting into. I knew who she was when I met her. I knew who she was when she was putting money on my books. But, when you want to talk to your woman and she's about to tell you, I'm about to go sleep with another man, I don't know if I can handle it. And they ain't even met yet. They ain't even met yet. But they're already talking about marriage. And now reality is starting to set in. Oh, dear God, I'm about to marry a prostitute. And you know what the scenario is going to be when it turns to love after lockup. He's going to say quit. She's going to say no. How can you support us? Do you know how much an hour at brothel costs? Take a shot. And don't do the Chris Burdick and say $3.2 million.
Oh, I would never go that high. It's clearly $1 million.
Ruin the whole damn bit.
$400.
$2,500.
Holy.
For an hour.
How? What? Why? Who's dropping that kind of coin?
Well, I think like a normal thing is $1,500. This guy wanted like he wanted like to be chained up and all this not. In fact, they had to go into a special room for this freak.
That's not what I meant.
So I'm guessing it might be $1,500 for just plain old sex.
That's still way too much.
$50 is way too much.
I could not agree with you more.
We pay for sex, but in a whole different avenue. Dinner and cocktails and flowers and candy. But $2,500, and she said she splits it. So when he gets out, she's gonna be like, brother, I'm making $5, $6, $7 grand a week. And you want me to quit my job? I don't know. I found it fascinating. I should have spent the time finishing reading some of these messages from you guys, but I just had to tell Randy that. Once I told Randy, I'd tell Chris. I just love that nobody knows what a courtesan is, because I thought it was just me. Because I damn sure had to look it up. It's like, courtesan? What is she, a dealer? I don't know where I was. The nurse made a furtive movement, which in California gives the officer the right to shoot, period, end of story. A furtive? What is a furtive? F-U-R? TIVE. Flora says, depending on which channel we watch, we'll probably see different versions of the video that fit their narrative. I've seen just about all of them. He also says, some mentioned the nurse deleted his whole Facebook profile before he went out there. Not sure if that's true. Mary says, so you think maybe it was suicide by cop? Flora says, oh, good point. Interesting people seeing different things from the videos. I haven't seen any yet. LKLE-H7 says, as Ralph said, two things can be true at the same time. Mary Marcus just says shrimp. Oh, she vomits on shrimp. Mary Marcus, you don't like shrimp? You are you have a whole, you're a different, no, you're an outlier, Mary. You don't count. You have kind of eating issues, right? That doesn't count. Who doesn't like shrimp? Flores is all over this place. As Scott Adams of Dilbert fame says, we're watching two different movies from one TV screen. Stella says, I don't know if it's my TV or not, but I cannot understand what the comm guest is saying. It sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. This isn't the first time, but it's not a problem with all guests. Huh, I understood her. I thought she talked a little fast, but in fact, I almost interrupted her and told her to slow down. But okay. That's why we like our guests to come in, but they're all the way on the Northeast, and she said, I'd rather be on the phone. But yeah, we definitely prefer our guests to be in studio. Mary Marcus joins back in and says, Stella says, I love all the Jackie and Shadow discussions. I watch them from time to time on YouTube. Thank you, Stella. Somebody earlier was bagging on me for talking about the Eagles. Mary says, just saw a post that his parents said he quit his job 2 weeks ago and started to act strangely. They told him, if you go protest, go, but don't engage with the agents. Oh, that is interesting information. Mary says, and he joined some weird group, probably one of the groups that I highlighted. Interesting, Mary, says Floor. By the way, I really enjoy when your husband is on the show. Oh, that's good news. Floor writes, Ralph, my husband and I are very involved with prison and detention ministry with the church, so we've watched Lock Up for many years. They're always very intriguing and true to form. Thank you, Floor. I've got an intellectual who watches Love After Lockup. Perhaps for professional reasons, but nevertheless. Okay. I don't feel like the dummy that I feel like when I watch Love After Lockup. It's a very scientific show, Mr. Burdick. You hear that? They're watching it for professional reasons. Damn right. It's a good show. I'm telling you, get hooked. Chris, I swear, you'd be on the phone. Well, baby, can't we just come into the house and watch Love After Lockup? I'm telling you. It's absolutely addicting. It's just mesmerizing to me that people can be this really stupid. To fall in love with someone who is locked up. And the crazy thing is, some of them, not all of them, but some of them have like solid families. They come from two-parent homes. They have good jobs. And of course, the entire family, the sisters, the mother, the father, are all like, have you lost your ever-loving mind? And the person is always persistent and strong. And there's a part of me that admires that they're like, screw you, I love this guy or this gal. But damn, to stand up to your family for a prisoner, just misguided principles, just absolutely misguided principles. It's really, really sad. That's too bad. Let's go ahead and take our final break on the day on a very happy ending for me. I was not looking forward to this broadcast, nor am I particularly looking forward to this week, because I don't think this Minnesota story is going to go away anytime soon. And I know that my audience thinks I am completely wrong. But like I said, it'd be really simple for me. That's why I laugh when people say that I preach to the choir. It'd be really easy for me to come in here and agree with you all and say, this was justified, and I can make a pretty good argument for it. But I don't believe that. In my heart, I think this man got beat up. I think they were upset that he came to the aid of this woman. And I think that officer panicked when he heard gun, gun, gun. What's wrong?
We got a text message that just came in.
Yes.
Jackie has laid her second egg.
What? Okay. That is good news. Wait, you must have seen that on the 5 o'clock news. Or KGT will have it on the 6 o'clock, I'm sure. Or certainly on the morning show. Wow, that's good because the numbers, Meg was a little more optimistic about the stats. She claims that it's a 70% survival rate, but both in the documentary that I watched and some of the stuff that I read this morning says it's about 50-50. So the more eggs she has, the more eaglets we may possibly have. If you have no idea what we're talking about, go back on YouTube and watch the broadcast. We talked with the executive director of the California Living Museum, Jackie and Shadow, a pair of eagles, an interracial couple up in Big Bear, gave birth to one or laid one egg, and now listener telling us they've seen the video and they've laid another. Let's just hope I didn't lay an egg today. I'm sure many of you think I did, but I got to be honest. Got to give you my opinion. That's why I get a check every 2 weeks, like clockwork. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. It's TRBS on a Monday. Tomorrow, Teresa Goldner, and most likely more on what's going on in Minneapolis, St. Paul, as the president makes a stunning decision late in the day by pulling Greg Bovino, the head of the Border Patrol agents, who I think is a clown. And did you hear Armstrong and Getty suggest that Kristi Noem may be on her way out? I don't think so. She deserves it, but I don't think so. I think a lot of this crazy cabinet will dislodge after the midterms. Come the new year, I think this will be a radically different cabinet. I really do. Quick timeout. Coming back, wrap this thing up. Go and watch a little Australian Open and eat a little fish for dinner as I try to bring down my A1C. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. I would still stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk water with the best in the business. That'd be Lois Henry, SJV Water. There may be one or two overt references to the sea.
You ready? 3, 2. They laid to rest a legend over the weekend. From what I saw, it was an incredible service and celebration of life of Irma Carson, one of the greatest trendsetters in the history of Kern County. And just a wonderful, wonderful woman who helped me along with my fledgling career when I first moved up here. And she is one of the all-time icons of Kern County. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Tuesday TRBS. Well, our former federal magistrate judge, Teresa Goldner, will be here, and we'll have the latest on Jackie and Shadow. Yet another eaglet has been laid, and the latest from Minnesota. All that and me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. I'll see you at 3.
Oi.
What's that? Oh, I'm in.
Medicare and your health insurance needs are beyond
no dough
compare.
on me.
And I was taken care of immediately by his wonderful staff. He knew everything that I needed and what I wouldn't need, so I was pretty much in and out of there in record time. If you're getting to that age where you're going to be needing to know about Medicare, then he's the one to call. He will totally help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to leave there feeling a great accomplishment and no concerns. And even if you have questions later, his staff can help you out. Those feelings are just priceless to me. So call Paul. You'll be glad you did.
When Medicare care matters. Our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Hi, John Hall from Don Hall Jewelers, where we are celebrating 74 years in business with our anniversary sale. Just in time for Valentine's Day, you can get Don Hall diamonds or a custom-made treasure for your special Valentine. We have a great selection of estate jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches, and Cartier love bracelets. Come see us for that special anniversary gift and make it a Valentine's Day to remember. Don Hall Jewelers on the corner of California and Mohawk in the Stockdale Tower.
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years. Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving. And yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
You know my papa disapproved it. My mama booed it. But I told them to.
So it didn't take long. Randizzle's got a, I guess I shouldn't be saying this, huh? It's got a pool going already. Do you remember 3 years ago? Were you here 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Where it almost cost me and Randy's friendship?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where I won the pool, but Randy kicked me out because I hadn't paid him?
Yeah.
You talk about living. You talk about living.
Pay up.
How you gonna sweat a guy that you see every single day?
Don't matter. Pay up. If you're gonna get in, you gotta pay.
You see, he's changed his policy.
No. He said we gotta get to him by the Friday before the Super Bowl. That is a deadline. That is a hard deadline. That's actually making it worse for you.
I don't think he would not pay. If I didn't have the afford it, I don't think he would. If I paid him on Monday, come on. We work.
You know
in the
how
same
many
place.
people have tried that? You know how many people across, not in here, but just
Tried
across
what? Like
everybody.
it's like it's a Bailey scheme. Like
No,
I don't have 40,
that's not what I'm
like
saying.
I don't have access
What
to
I'm saying
$40.
is that everybody has
Bring it
that
down,
thought.
Bring it down. Bring it down.
Everybody has that thought when they're going into this. Oh, I'll just pay you later, and then they never pay. And then the person who runs the pool now has to pay for you.
Yeah, but I work literally 8 yards from the man. I sit in his
anybody from
studio
doing that, though.
every single day.
Doesn't
It's
stop
no
anybody.
Bailey scam. I just don't have cash with me. And I was pissed. Granted, I didn't talk for like 2 weeks. I was pissed. I mean, it's different. You're right. If it's a friend across the city that you may not see, that you may not come and read, nobody wants to run down somebody for their money. But if you're just taking $40 off my winnings,
trust me, dude.
And we work 8 yards from one another, come on. Let's finish. Let's clean the board. I think I've just about got everybody on the chat board. And again, mea culpa, Mary. I can't imagine what it's like to go through. Well, I do know what it's like to go through because I can't eat. It's more, in fact, I feel more sorry for me than I do you, Mary, because you just don't like seafood. I love seafood, but can't eat it. Not shellfish. Gout. Although I cheat, I still cheat every now and again. I'll definitely cheat at Super Bowl. When I go to the party, I'll have some shrimp. And I had some shrimps a couple of weeks ago. I was at Bill Lee's. Ariel ordered some fried shrimp, and I had a little mustard. And I don't know. What do you got on the board? Let's get out of here.
Mario's chimed in.
What do you got, Mario?
Ralph, based on the Trump administration, all illegal people are breaking the law just by being here.
Well, technically they are, but I asked the question at the top of the show, is that the ultimate goal? Because as I said, I don't know about y'all. Maybe you did. Maybe that's why you voted for Trump, because you want to see every single illegal alien thrown out of this country. That's not what I signed up for. That's not what I expected. That's not what he campaigned on. I thought we were going to get the criminals. I thought we were going to get the people that were lucky enough to get in here and are too stupid to carry the straight line. Walk the straight line, whatever the hell the damn phrase is. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get in here illegally and you establish yourself and you create a life for yourself and a family, I just think that that's okay. That we should work out some immigration policy that, as Barack Obama talked about, would penalize you. Even Hillary Clinton talked about this, that there would be a penalty. Barack Obama campaigned that you must learn English. A Democrat campaigned on that back in 2008. I'll play the audio for you if I had the time. And yet be able to maintain a family. And Republicans are often alluding to the fact that Barack Obama deported many more people than Donald Trump has or perhaps ever will. But the difference was they weren't going into homes, they weren't going into schools. Children were being separated from their families, but we did not see it because most of the deportations were along the border. Most of those Obama deportations were folks just trying to get in here. They weren't people who had established lives, jobs, families, reputations, taxes to the government. I think that is the biggest discrepancy the Republicans are not willing to admit. And there just wasn't this thuggish, to me, this thuggish, we can do whatever the hell we want attitude that clearly some, not all, but some of the agents that have. And clearly I have to be right. Why must I be right? How do I know I was right? The President of the United States, not Ralph Bailey, not the Board of Supervisors, not the City Council, not Gavin Newsom, but Donald Trump pulled this clown, Greg Bovino, out of Minneapolis and St. Paul. He can't strip the guy of what he does. So unfortunately, this guy will be sent to somebody else's city, but he can't handle what's going on at the nucleus of this thing, at the ground zero of this thing. He's too, just not capable. You don't go on national television and applaud two men who shot a guy with 10 bullets. Even if it's justified, you wait until the probe is over and the investigation is over, and you still don't applaud it. You say like Howard approached it. It's a horrible thing that's happened, but that's not what this guy said. That's not what this clown Bovino, who Trump yanked out of Minnesota, that's not what he said. He said, I'm proud of what these men did. That's just a wrong signal to put forward. I'm proud that they killed an American citizen. And again, remember the parents who've been told that their son is a domestic terrorist, who struggled with officers, when in fact, I thought he was just simply trying to help a fallen woman. Tomorrow's a Tuesday. Teresa Golden will be with us. Unfortunately, we'll probably have more on this horrendous situation. And whatever else happens. We'll talk a little Super Bowl. We didn't get to really do that this afternoon. We'll do that tomorrow, leading up to Friday, when we talk with our good friend, Brandon Lang. In the meantime, I want to thank Meg Maitland from COM, Kathy Abernathy, and for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Wrap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
This job just gets harder. This job just gets harder and harder and harder. And I just keep getting older and older and older. I thought jobs get easier when you get older and you've been doing it a long time. But it just gets harder and harder and harder. Woe is me, woe is me. Later, Dizzle. See you guys. Do this tomorrow. Teresa Goldner, and probably talk more about this crap. We'll see you guys.
You don't necessarily have to give